It is an all-request Friday here on the program, as, of course, it always is, even when we're not in studio. On the road today in Flint, and when I left the station on Monday, I wasn't sure that this was the way the week was going to play out, but nonetheless, here we are, and because I wasn't sure that this is the way the week was going to play out, we've decided that the theme for today on this All Request Friday is surprise. Just kind of like the show being on the air today, live from Flint, Michigan, where, by the way, it's a beautiful morning. I hate to break that to you again. When I was on the air from the Sioux on Wednesday, you were getting hammered with more snow. A friend of mine posted on social media that he would like to request that whoever it was that ordered the Costco-sized winter to return it and get a more normal-sized winter, because we haven't even arrived at winter on the calendar yet. But, oh boy, and he says he even likes winter. Nonetheless, a nice sunny day here, far less snow in Flint than we saw in Sault Ste. Marie, and I suspect that means far less snow in Flint than you have back home in the region right now as well. A very good Friday morning to you. We started with CCR's Heard It Through the Grapevine for Jackie. Does it fit the surprise theme? Not entirely, but a little surprising note to it. Jackie, Farwell's Force member number 57, says that her grandfather was born in Flint. So what better way to start the show from the remote studio in Flint than with a song that means something to one of our Farwell's Force members who had a family member born right here in Flint, Michigan. We'll get as many surprise songs. We've got a bunch of requests in for those. And if you want to add one to the list, by all means, it's surprise, shock, unexpected. You decide what the theme means to you. And let us know what song you would like to hear. Email, of course, always works. It's mike@570news.com. Or you give us a call, and Devin, who is working on the other side of the glass, well, quite frankly, the other side of the border today, will be happy to add your request to the queue. I have some business that I am reluctantly about to take care of. But before we get to that, let's start where we should start, on the morning after the night before. And I know all of you Leafs haters are going to say, well, they blew a 2-0 lead. That, I get it. It's too bad that they did. However, when the Leafs play the night before, the next morning, we very often get to play a little bit of audio when one of the greatest hockey players in the world today scores a goal. That hockey player, you know him, right? Austin Matthews, initials AM. So here is your little bit of AM on AM in the AM.
Nylander, far half boards, still with it. Cross in front, shot, scores!
Hot or spicy?
I want it hot! The Leafs score the power play, and it's Austin Matthews!
I feel like I need to pay closer attention because I have no idea what hot or spicy means. Do you get like free wings when the Leafs score a power play goal or something like that? Because I don't know what hot or spicy means. I do know that the greatest hockey player in the world today, Austin Matthews, scored the goal on the power play that gave the Leafs the 2-0 lead that they would ultimately relinquish, losing to San Jose in overtime. However, again, for all my Leafs haters out there, remember this. That is now 6 straight games for the Leafs with a point. 4 wins, a shootout loss, and an overtime loss. So considering how bad things looked a couple of weeks ago, I will take what the Leafs are delivering of late. I absolutely will. Make no mistake about that. So, and I know one of those extra time losses in the shootout came against the worst possible opponent, but we're not going to name that team that shall not be named because that's how we roll on this show, whether we're at home or we're on the road, which we are with the Kitchener Rangers, just keeping with the hockey theme for a moment. And you know you will get coverage from here in Flint tonight. Pre-game coverage brought to you by Harris Law with Josh Piercy and I starts at 6:30 from the Dort Financial Center. And those Firebirds playing well. It's going to be a good hockey game here in Flint tonight. Okay, I have to take care of this piece of business. And I'm still very reluctant to do this, but a promise is a promise, and you know how we roll on this show, right? We are all about transparency, accountability, responsibility. There's only one way I know how to be with you, and that is honest. And I said to you that if we can get our 570 News Radio Tree of Hope 50/50 raffle up over a $60,000 jackpot, that I would admit something that I have long resisted admitting. In fact, in my heart of hearts, if I'm being honest, I still do not believe this, but I will make the statement and I will join you in your goofy crusade to try to create some sort of narrative that a certain action movie, arguably one of the best action movies ever made, it was so well done, in my opinion, as an action movie that I don't know. Well, this is what happened, okay? One day, there was an office Christmas party, and there was a real nerdy guy at the office Christmas party who, was one of those kind of loners, and the rest of the people in the office kind of made fun of him behind his back and that sort of thing. Let's just say, for example, that guy was Farwell, a lot like me, okay? A guy at the office, a lot like yours truly. Didn't talk to many people, didn't have much personality, kind of kept to himself. And it was time to go to the office Christmas party. And this poor guy, like, what's he going to do at the office Christmas party, right? It's going to be a tough day for him. So he decides that he is going to find the ultimate icebreaker at the office Christmas party. He is going to come up with this idea that anybody that talks to him at the Christmas party is going to get this fantastic story from him, or something that they will be talking about for weeks after. And it turns out now it's been happening for years. But what this guy decided to do at the Christmas party, you see, is say, hey, do you know what my favorite Christmas movie is? And people are talking about A Christmas Carol, and they're talking about It's a Wonderful Life, and they're talking about The Sound of Music and White Christmas and The Bells of St. Mary's. It just goes on and on and on and on. And he says, no. The best Christmas movie is Die Hard. And it just became a thing. And all of these years later, so many more people have picked up on what the nerd at the Christmas party decided to make an icebreaker all those years ago. Just before I get further into this, let me remind you what the man himself, the star, Officer John, I have to be careful with my language, Officer John McClane said himself about this movie, because all of the talk around it, oh, is it? Is it not? This is what Bruce Willis says about Die Hard.
Die Hard is not a Christmas movie. It's a Bruce Willis movie.
It's a Bruce Willis movie. Exactly. That's what it is. But you have been insistent, and I have been resistant. But the jackpot in our 570 News Radio Tree of Hope 50/50 raffle has gone beyond $60,000. In fact, let me just do a quick check right now and see. Oh, my goodness gracious. It is now over $67,000. So as I pledged to you then, here goes. Die Hard is a Christmas movie. And you will not convince me otherwise, because you have made the jackpot what it is, more than $67,000. So I know you love to torture and torment me. 67,000. I had also said if the jackpot gets to 70,000, I have in the studio back at the boardwalk a little Die Hard advent calendar, which shows Hans Gruber falling from the top of the Nakatomi building. And we can count that down together. I didn't bring it with me on the road because I wasn't sure that you'd get me to this point, but here we are. But when I get back to the studio on Monday, the advent calendar is there. And if this jackpot gets over $70,000, we will count down together every day the Hans Gruber falling from Nakatomi Plaza advent calendar, if the jackpot gets up over $70,000. We'll see where we go. I think it's great that you are so supportive of local charities. In this case, it's Family and Children's Services Foundation in Waterloo Region. We are helping families have a brighter and better Christmas, and I love your heart for that. I really do. You're putting a little dagger into mine, though, and I know you know this, but listen, this is the world we live in now, right? If you want Die Hard to be a Christmas movie, it's allowed to be a Christmas movie. We are bending the genre in a pretty big way as far as I'm concerned, but a promise is a promise. So I will repeat again, Die Hard is a Christmas movie. I might even add it to my top 5 Christmas movies of all time, and maybe even watch it before December the 25th. And if that jackpot gets up to $70,000, which I think it now almost certainly will, we will count down together to Christmas on the Hans Gruber Falling from the Nakatomi Plaza Advent calendar. Get your tickets in the 570 News Radio Tree of Hope 50/50 raffle at FACS5050.com. FACS5050.com. And we will make the draw for the winner next Thursday and see who wins the big jackpot. Maybe by that time, we will be counting down to Christmas with Hans Gruber falling from the Nakatomi Plaza. All right, just ahead of your not $1 million question for this Friday morning, let's do what we usually do at the beginning of the show, and that is the 5 things you need to know. Your Farwell Show 5.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
What have I got for you this morning? Well, at number 1, Mark Carney's Liberal government is now 1 seat shy of a majority. How did this happen? Was there a by-election that we missed? No, there's just another floor crossing. Liberals gained a new member last night when Toronto area MP Michael Maw crossed the floor from the Conservatives to the Liberals, and that gives the Liberals 171 seats in the House. And much like Chris D'Entremont, who did it earlier, I hope neither D'Entremont or Maw ever win another election. I really don't like it when this happened, but it did. Michael Maw from the Conservatives to the Liberals. Number 2, Kitchener Council has passed a budget with a 2.2% tax increase for next year. That works out to about $29 for the average Kitchener homeowner. Budget Chair and Ward 1 Councillor Scott Davey says this budget does the important work of keeping costs as low as possible without kicking the can down the road on important long-term investments. Little aside from me, if you'll indulge me, why are our other municipalities not doing things the way Kitchener has? This isn't a one-off. This is about a decade now of continual increases that are at or below the rate of inflation. Meantime, we get other municipalities. Waterloo's doing 6+%. Don't even get me started on the region. The townships are struggling mightily. Why can everybody else just go to Kitchener and talk to the budget chair, talk to Councillor Scott Davey? I'm sure he'll take your calls and figure out what in HE double hockey sticks you're doing wrong and Kitchener is doing right. And maybe we can just keep our municipal budgets in around inflation. Wouldn't that be a great idea? Number 3 on your Farwell Show 5 this morning, if you're looking for something fun to do tomorrow and support local charity and nonprofit at the same time, well then, come and check out a special screening of the film Looper at the original Princess Cinema in Uptown Waterloo. The screening will start at 3:45. $1 from every ticket sold will support United Way Waterloo Region Communities, and the director of philanthropy there, Scott Hamilton, will be part of a panel discussion after that movie. It's part of Joel Rubinoff's film festival, so lots of fun. Tomorrow afternoon, 3:45, Looper at the Princess Cinema, the original in Uptown Waterloo. Number 4, a couple of concerts to let you know about on Sunday. One is a Link Christmas, Link, L-Y-N-C, standing for Love Your Neighbor Communities. It happens on Sunday afternoon from 2 until 4:30 at Steinman Mennonite Church in Baden. You will enjoy the sights and sounds of Junate, Annette Hector, as well as Lisa Hagen and the local vocals and the Derek Goupel and the Hillview Band. All of that 2 till 4:30 on Sunday afternoon at Steinman Mennonite Church. And then in the evening, our good buddy on this show, Ian Graham, and his friends will be performing at All Saints Anglican Church on Northfield Drive in Waterloo. Donation to the food bank is all you need to bring with you and enjoy some sounds of the season on Sunday night at All Saints Anglican Church on Northfield Drive. The show on Sunday night starts at 7. And number 5 on your Farwell Show 5 this morning, the Christmas time in Wellesley Parade happens this evening. 6:45 is when it will begin. The parade starts at the Wellesley Public School, travels west down Queensbush Road, south then on Nafziger, right on Maple Leaf, and ends back at the community center. That is the Christmas time in Wellesley Parade. Tonight, 6:45, the parade gets going. And that is your Farwell Show 5 for this Friday morning, the 12th of December. Just before we take a break, we like to do this on Fridays just to have a little bit of fun on the show. We ask you the not $1 million question, because I can't give you $1 million if you get the answer right. But if you do get the answer right, we're all going to be very impressed with you. So let's see if you can impress us today. We'll give you the answer before 10, but why not? Take your best shot and impress us before that. Roughly half of us own at least 2 of these and can't remember where we put either one. Roughly half of us own at least 2 of these, but we can't remember where we put either one. What is this thing that about 50% of us own and can't tell you where it is right now? Phone lines open on our not $1 million question. See if you can impress us on this Friday morning here on the Mike Farwell Show, 570 News Radio and Rogers TV.
It's us going toe to toe. It's us going toe to toe. I don't care what you think you know. The whole world going toe to toe.
It is an all-request Friday here on the show, surprise songs edition, and that is Hadouken with Bomb Shock. I like it. See, surprise, shock, unexpected. Nate, Farwell's Force member number 8, understood the assignment, got the theme down pat. Bomb Shock by Hadouken is the next song here on our all-request Friday surprise songs edition. Also on Fridays, we like to play the not $1 million question, have a little bit of fun putting your brain to the test. I know it's early in the morning, but we can do this. You can impress us by telling us roughly half of us own 2 of these, but can't tell you where either one is located. You have 2, but you don't know where either one currently is. What is this thing? Let's go to the phones and start with Doug this morning. Douglas, good morning.
Hello,
what's the
Mike.
answer to the not $1 million question? Hello.
Yeah, well, I was thinking that probably my first thought was my DVD copy of Die Hard.
Oh, you are a scoundrel, Douglas. Why you want to be that way to me?
Oh, I'm sorry. Hey, listen, I tuned in this morning. I'm on the road for work. Usually I'm not, but I had to be here for support for you because I knew what you were going to do. I was buying tickets last night, and I saw the jackpot. I said, "Well, I know what Mike's going to be doing this morning." You know, I'm thinking TV remotes.
Great guess. That was actually my first thought too. Not the answer we're looking for, but thank you, Doug, and thank you for being here.
Half the time, so have a great
All right,
time
buddy.
Hey, listen, my father was born in Saginaw.
Well, we're going there tomorrow. I'll say hi for you. Appreciate it, Doug. And thanks for the moral support on the whole Die Hard is a Christmas movie thing. Some nerd at a party started it. If you want to carry it on, totally up to you. I'm with you now, you bunch of nerds. Chef D, our good buddy, is with us this morning as well. Good morning, Chefy.
It could be 2 Leaf jerseys. I don't know.
Yeah, like you'd ever have one of those in your home. Come on.
Oh, no, my wife has them.
Yeah, well, that's because she's a smart lady. That's why.
Okay, I just have one burning point that's got my dander in a knot today. You do not walk
Sure.
across the floor. You do not walk across the floor when you've been voted in as a certain political party. You keep that party until you, on your mandate or the next election, then you can cross the floor. This is ridiculous, Mike. I am so ticked about this. Sorry.
Sheffy, I'm with you 100. No, don't be sorry. Thank you for sharing that, and I appreciate you, pal. Keep up the good work, okay?
Okay, talk to you soon.
Great to hear from you, Chef. I am 100% on board with that. If you want to cross the floor, fine. Then go back to the electorate and ask them if they will elect you under the new party banner. You got elected as a conservative. Now, all of a sudden, you're a liberal. That's not how it works. You go back. We have a by-election. Ask the voters if they will vote you back in as a liberal. Crossing the floor. One away now from a majority. Who else do they convince to cross the floor? And all of a sudden, we've got a majority government after we, as voters, clearly voted for a minority parliament. Go figure. Paul from Guelph is with us this morning as well. Paul, do you know the answer to our not $1 million question today?
Yabba dabba doo, is it a glue gun?
A glue gun. I love how you start with yabba dabba doo. It is not a glue gun. I don't think I own one glue gun. So anyway, not the answer we're looking for, my friend.
Just a reminder, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer with the Bumble is a great Christmas movie, and don't forget to watch the end credits with that poor misfit toy who doesn't get the parasol.
I will be paying very close attention, Paul. Thank you.
All right, Merry Christmas.
Great hearing. Merry Christmas, my friend. Great to hear from you today. It's not a glue gun. Roughly half of us own two of these, but we could not tell you where either one of them is. Let's see if Jeff knows the answer. He's with us on the show this morning. Jeff, good morning.
Good morning and Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, sir.
Thank you. First thing came to my head was a snow brush or a scraper.
Oh, that's a good one, too. You know what I did this year? I didn't even take it out of the car. I left it in all summer. My wife is looking at me saying, what's the matter with you? I'm like, well, I'm going to need it again eventually because we live in this godforsaken frozen tundra, right?
Yeah.
Not the answer we're looking for, but a good guess.
Thank you. Have
All
a
right.
good day.
Thanks, Jeff. You too. Really appreciate hearing from you today. Let's get one more in before we head to the news center. Bill is with us as well. Bill, do you know the answer to the not $1 million question this morning?
How about a screwdriver?
A screwdriver. Also an excellent guess. I keep mine all in the same drawer. I got my flathead in there. I got my Robertson in there. I got my Phillips in there. Not the answer we're looking for, but a good guess.
Okay. Thanks, Mike.
Thanks for the call, Bill. All right. Good to hear from you this morning. We will take more guesses around 9:45. I'll give you the answer before 10. Most of us, about half of us, own two of these, but we couldn't tell you where either one of them is. What is it? You can shoot me an email too if you like. Again, we'll take more guesses around 9:45 or so, and I'll give you the answer before 10 this morning. Right now, it's off to the 570 News Center for an update, and then we're going to have a conversation about a warming center for women in Cambridge and the ask coming to Regional Council next week to fund that warming center. Stay with us. It's the Mike Farwell Show, 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. Oh, now there's one I have not heard in far too long. A little bit of Chicago and Baby. What a big surprise. Richard requested that one on this All Request Friday Surprise Songs edition. Again, understanding the assignment. Baby, what a big surprise. Drop in your request via email to mike@570news.com or when you call in to participate in our show today. By all means, let Devin know, he's the one answering the phones, what song you would like to hear on this All Request Friday Surprise Songs edition. a motion that will be coming to Regional Council next week, brought forward by Cambridge councillor on Regional Council, Pam Wolf, asking that the region fund a warming center for women in Cambridge next year. We know that when it comes to our homelessness story in the region, there are more than 2,300 people currently unhoused. And I feel as though, and I think others do as well, that women are not as well looked after in these spaces. And so that is the effort in Cambridge, at least, in that request coming for funding from Regional Council. That motion next week. But this morning, we speak with Kim Decker, who is the CEO of the YWCA Cambridge. Kim, good morning.
Good morning, Mike.
Can you give us a sense of what you are seeing through your role at YWCA Cambridge when it comes to women who are struggling with shelter, perhaps even living unhoused? Am I off base here, or am I kind of onto something when I talk about the, perhaps underappreciated number of women who are exposed in this way?
Yeah, that's a really good point, Mike. Thank you. So just in February of this year, you know that Cambridge, or YWCA Cambridge, opened Cambridge's very first shelter for unhoused women. It's a 20-bed, 24-hour-a-day, 7-day-a-week shelter. Since August of this year, we have had about 136 requests for service that we've not been able to accommodate because we are consistently at capacity. So I think what we're starting to see is the true picture of what homelessness it looks like, specifically in Cambridge. I think when we opened the shelter, none of us were really quite sure what that number would look like, because we know that women stay hidden to stay safe. And so you often don't see women who are homeless on the street in the same way that you do men. But I think the information that we've been gathering and the numbers that we're seeing are starting to paint a very different picture of what women's homelessness looks like in our community.
When you have that many requests that you cannot fulfill, Kim, what kind of a toll does that take on you and the others working in this space?
Yeah, what I can say is that it's really tough on staff. There's a lot of moral injury, because we know when we turn women away, we have one other choice, and that is for women to be referred to 84 Frederick Street, and sometimes there are spaces available and sometimes not. Many women don't want to leave our community because this is where their support networks are. So it is so difficult, because we know that we're turning them away and they are going to be back on the street or looking for a place that's safe for them, because we know that gender-based violence and sexual violence is inextricably linked to homelessness. And through the work that we did prior to opening the shelter, we know that about 74% of women who are experiencing homelessness also experience gender-based violence on a weekly basis.
When you do get these requests, you mentioned opening that space in February of this year. Do you have any other options available for women outside of that shelter?
No, not in our community. We don't. As I said, the only other option for us is to refer women to 84 Frederick.
So this motion being brought forward, what would funding allow you to do? What would a warming center look like?
Yeah, so the warming center would be a little different than our shelter, because, as I said, the shelter operates 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. What the warming shelter would allow us to do would be to be open from the beginning of November to the end of March, and to provide an overnight space for women where likely come in around 8 o'clock at night and have to leave at 8 o'clock in the morning, but where they could come in and sleep, they could come in and get warm, they could come in and get something to drink and something to eat. It is not the best solution, but it is the solution that we're hoping for next winter for sure.
Is this a place, Kim, that you would still have to find a location for? Would it work alongside the existing shelter? Is it premature to even talk about that?
Yeah, so there is a church that has come forward and said that if we were interested in opening a warming center in their space, that they would be open to housing us there.
Do we know how much funding would be required?
Yeah, so I think what Pam's motion is asking for is $176,000 in the 2026 budget to support this. There is one warming center in Cambridge that's run by Porchlight. It is for men only. And so we're hoping that we would be allocated the similar funding as to what Porchlight has been allocated for their warming center for men.
I think that would make good sense. And as I said at the beginning of this, I do feel as though this is an underappreciated demographic within our homelessness cohort, if you will, in the region. And you were talking about the work that you have been able to do through YWCA Cambridge, getting that shelter open, some overflow in motels, etc.
Yep.
This doesn't come at no cost. How can we, as a community, Kim, support the work that you're doing at YWCA Cambridge to provide these shelter spaces for women?
Yeah, thanks, Mike. We're running an end-of-year campaign right now, and we are hoping to collect gift cards that we can give to women. So if women come to our door and we don't have a space for them, we could give them a Tim Hortons gift card so they could go and get something to eat and a warm place to sit and stay for a while before they had to go back outside again. So if folks can either donate to the YW and we can get those gift cards, or we would be absolutely thrilled to be able to accept them as well. So that it's just one other way that we could support women over the winter.
I love the work that you do, and I appreciate the time you've made for us on the show this morning. Where can we go, Kim, to support that fundraising campaign?
Yeah, folks can visit our website at ywcacambridge.ca, and all of the information is there.
ywcacambridge.ca. Kim, thank you again for the work that you do, and thanks for making time for the show this morning.
Thanks for having me, Mike. I really appreciate it.
Kim Decker is the CEO at YWCA Cambridge, joining us to talk about, and isn't it interesting, right? Again, this year, there will not be a women's warming center for the winter months in Cambridge. There is one for men, but for whatever reason, we can't seem to close the loop on this and provide the same warming center and shelter opportunities for women. Doesn't make a ton of sense from where I'm sitting. So a motion will be coming to Regional Council next week, brought forward by Cambridge Councillor Pam Wolf, asking for $176,000 in regional funding to support the opening of a warming center for women next year in Cambridge. And the YWCA has already coordinated with a church in the city in order to provide that space. Would be an opportunity opening in the evening to allow women to come in during those cold weather months and have that warm place to stay. Again, if we're doing it for men, I'm not certain why it is we seem unable to do it for women who are also experiencing homelessness. There is also a year-end fundraising campaign underway to support the YWCA of Cambridge's work in helping women who are experiencing homelessness. You can visit ywcacambridge.ca to learn more about that campaign and maybe provide a little bit of support to it. When you're talking about a community of 2,300 plus people who are living unhoused in our region, I think then you can understand how we might be missing out on some of the people within that 2,300. And women certainly seem to be underserved in this regard. So visit ywcacambridge.ca, learn more about the campaign, and if you're able, by all means, give them a little bit of help. Just before we take our break and turning things about 180 degrees here, we always have a little bit of fun on our Friday mornings with the not $1 million question. It is so named because we can't give you $1 million for getting the answer right, but gosh, we'll be impressed with you if you can come up with it. Roughly half of us own at least two of these, but we can't remember where we put either one. Some of the guesses so far: a screwdriver, remote control, a snow brush or ice scraper. All very good guesses, but not the answer that we're looking for. Do you think you know what roughly half of us own at least two of, but we can't remember where we put either one? Phone lines are always open for your guesses. 519-570-2545, star 570, and 1-800-570-5715. Let's see if we can get an answer to our not $1 million question before 10 this morning. This is the Mike Farwell Show on 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. That is some Billy Talent and surprise for Johnny on this All Request Friday. Surprise Songs edition. I like me some Billy Talent. I like your choice in music there, Johnny. All Request Friday Surprise Songs edition. You can drop me an email, mike@570news.com, or when you call in to participate in the show today, let Devin know, he's answering the phones today, what surprise song you would like to hear on this All Request Friday Surprise Songs edition. Something else we do on Fridays, just for a little bit of fun, is what we call the not $1 million question. So I can't give you $1 million if you get the answer right, but I can have undying admiration for you. We will be so impressed with you if you can come up with the answer to our not $1 million question, which today is about half of us own 2 of these, but we can't tell you where either one of them currently is. We own 2, but we don't know where they are. 519-570-2545, star 570, and 1-800-570-5715. Randall sends an email to mike@570news.com, says barbecue lighter. Excellent guess, Randall. Not the answer we're looking for. Mike, via email, how about reading glasses or sunglasses? Another great guess, but not the answer we're looking for. If you're ever looking for your sunglasses or reading glasses, Mike, check under your derriere. Usually you sit on them and then break them, right? Isn't that how it goes? Let's go to the phones, take more guesses. Mark is with us. Mark, good morning.
Hi, Mike. My guess was just taken. It was eyeglasses or sunglasses.
See, I've started worrying about that ever since I started wearing glasses, but so far so good. I haven't misplaced them yet. Not the answer we're looking for, bud, but thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Enjoy your day. All right, let's go to Chris next on the not $1 million question. Chris, good morning. Do you know the answer to our not $1 million question?
Well, hopefully I do. We'll see how alarming it is. I'm going to say an alarm clock.
An alarm? Don't we all have an alarm clock on our phone now?
That's it. So that's why we've got 2 of them and we don't know where they are.
Chris, it's a great guess. Not the answer we're looking for, but thank you.
Fair enough.
All right. Good hearing from you today. I am still, I use on the road because I don't trust any alarm clock I find in a hotel room here. So I use my phone on the road. Although, get this. Wednesday, I did the show from the Sioux. Today, I'm doing the show from Flint. And I woke up before my alarm both times. Anyway, my phone I use on the road. But at home, I'm an old-fashioned digital alarm clock guy. I have the radio on. Anyway, that's just me. It's a great guess, but not the answer we're looking for. Let's try Rick next with our not $1 million question. Rick, a first-time caller to the show.
Hey, Mike. Good morning. Yep, listen to the show every day. Listen to the show every day. Love it. And I might have an answer.
All right. What do you got for me?
Batteries.
Batteries. Oh, boy. You know, okay, I'm going to say 2 things. 1, great guess. And 2, you're in the neighborhood here, Rick, but not the answer we're looking for.
All right. I'll keep listening.
All right. Thanks very much for listening. Really appreciate it. And don't be a stranger, by all means. When you feel the urge, give us a call. We're always looking for those first-time callers. I'd play my yes, yes, yes sound effect, but I'm not in the studio today. I'll give it to you next time, Rick. You can be a second-time caller. We'll still call you a first-time caller. Rick, though, is pointing us in a direction here that might be helpful. Let's see if that helps Jeanette, or is it Janet? Janet? Is it Janet or Jeanette? It's Janet?
It's Janet. Yeah.
Hi, Janet.
My guess is tape dispenser.
A tape dispenser, like Scotch tape that you're going to need to wrap Christmas
Yes.
presents.
Yes.
Janet, what are you getting me for Christmas this year? Come on.
Same thing as last year, Mike.
I love it. That's all I ask for. Just stay tuned to the show. Just stay tuned to the show. That's all I need in this life. Not the answer we're looking for, but a good one. Thanks, Janet.
Okay.
All right. Good to hear from you today. Most of us, about half of us, have 2 of these, but we couldn't tell you where either one of them is. Let's find out if Preston Paul, Farwell's Force member number 45, knows the answer. Hey, Paul, good morning.
Morning, Mike. How you doing?
Great, buddy. How are you?
All right. I was thinking of toques or a winter hat.
Oh, you know what? I keep one in my pocket now just because, I got no hair up there to protect it. So I'm always throwing a toque on right out of my pocket. That's how I keep track of mine. Not the answer we're looking for.
All right, Mike.
All right, buddy. Thanks for playing along today.
You too. Take care.
Great to hear from you. Most of us have 2 of these, but we couldn't tell you where either one of them is. Let's see if Doug knows the answer to our not $1 million question today. Farwell's Force member number 14, Doug. Good morning.
Morning, Mike. How you doing?
I'm great, Dougie. How are you?
Good. I'm going to say a stud finder.
Stud finder. You know what? I couldn't tell you where my one stud finder is. I know I've got one in there somewhere. I don't know where it is. That's a good guess. Yeah. You know what? We had the screwdriver guess before. I'm still going to say that Rick's guess earlier, batteries, is putting us in the right direction here, but it's not a stud finder.
Okay.
All right, Doug. Thanks for the call. Good to hear from you today. Let's see about Rich. Maybe Rich knows the answer to our not $1 million question. Rich, what do you think it is? Most of us own 2 of these, but we couldn't tell you where they are.
I'm going to say a flashlight.
Rich, say it again. Say it again with enthusiasm.
A flashlight with dead batteries.
With dead batteries, exactly. Rich, buddy, congratulations. You got the answer to our not $1 million question. So all we get now, we are so impressed with you for the rest of the day. Go through this day knowing how impressed we all are with your brain.
Thanks, Mike.
All right, Rich, thanks for playing along. Good to hear from you today. There you go. The answer to the not $1 million question, which I should give credit where it's due. Norma also sent via email. I think the answer is a flashlight. And Norma and Rich now have our undying admiration. They knew that most of us have 2 of these and couldn't tell you where either one is. Interestingly enough, I know where the batteries are at home. I'll be ding-danged if I could point you in the direction of a flashlight. Such is life in the Farwell household. My beloved probably knows where all the things are, which is why I've come to rely upon her. Every time I need something, I'm like, hey, honey, where's this? Where's that? She just rolls her eyes at me now and then points me in the right direction. She has another child in her life. All right, we're coming up on your 10 o'clock update from the 570 News Center. Don't forget something else we do on Friday mornings, 10:30 is the Coaches Show. Rangers head coach UC Ahokas will join us then. But immediately after this update from the 570 News Center, you have probably heard me advocating for free transit for seniors in our community. Well, somebody that knows a thing or two about transit in our community has pulled me aside and says, Farwell, this is not a good idea at all. We'll have him join the show next and explain why he doesn't think free transit for seniors is a good idea. This is the Mike Farwell Show, 570 News Radio and Rogers TV.
Trading at Schwab is now powered by Ameritrade, unlocking the power of Thinkorswim, the award-winning trading platforms loaded with features that let you dive deeper into the market. Visualize your trades in a new light on Thinkorswim desktop with robust charting and analysis tools, all while you uncover new opportunities with up-to-the-minute market news and insights. Thinkorswim is available on desktop, web, and mobile to meet you where you are. It's built by the trading obsessed to help you trade brilliantly. Learn more at schwab.com/trading.
I was tired of my lady. We'd been together too long. Like a worn out recording of a favorite song. So
sleeping, I read the paper in bed.
It is an all request Friday surprise songs edition, and Dave wanted to hear Escape, the Pina Colada song by Rupert Holmes, because he said the surprise is at the end when who shows up to answer the ad that he put in the paper. Oh, his own wife did. I see what you did there, Dave. I think we can get behind that as a good idea. Good use of the theme surprise on this all request Friday. If you want to hear a surprise song on the show today, drop me an email, mike@570news.com, or call in and let Devin Robertson know. He's answering our phones back at the boardwalk in Kitchener. At the risk of exposing myself for the fraud that I am, I have a lot of help on this show, coming up with ideas. They come through conversations with you. Oftentimes you'll point me in the right direction for a good story to discuss. And then there are the times that I share my opinion, which happens frequently, every day, in fact, and you'll pull me aside and say, you are so far off base with that opinion that I have to get you back on track. It is the latter that has happened this time around. My good friend, Tom Galloway, a long-serving counselor in our community who retired recently as a regional counselor and is the timekeeper for 56 years now with the Kitchener Rangers. He's got a Friday night off back home, but he joins me on the show this morning here in Flint. Mr. Galloway, good morning.
Good morning, Mike, and thanks for that kind introduction. And it looks balmy in Flint, is it?
It actually, yes, it's nice and sunny. It was sunny in the Sioux, a little colder on Wednesday when you were getting all that snow. And here in Flint today, very sunny, not much snow. I feel like I escaped the weather back home by coming on the road north. Imagine.
Very good, very good. And can you can drink the water there now, can't you?
Yes, we can drink the water here now, which is good. Although I will confess that I have just in case, I have my plastic convenience bottle with me right now. Okay, so the reason that you and I are here this morning, Tom, is because you pulled me aside, in fact, in the media room at a Rangers game not too long ago, after I had written, and I stand by, but I like to bring the other perspective onto the show. I had written about free transit for seniors. I thought that offering it at least once a week would be the least that we could do for these folks who might not be driving anymore, might be looking to run errands, visit with other friends who can hop on transit for free that day, etc. I thought we'd be really closing a gap here. You do not think this is a good idea for Grand River Transit. Why not?
Well, I think that there's a couple of reasons. I'm a senior. I'm in my 70s. Most seniors are able to still navigate and get around, but there are, as you said, a cohort of seniors who do have issues and may not drive and may be low income as well, and that's clearly the case in many cases. But to have just free transit as soon as you turn 65, to me, has never made a whole lot of sense. What happens between age 64 and 65, all of a sudden you deserve free transit when, of course, there are low-income seniors, but many seniors are well able to afford to pay for a pass if they require a pass, or for a single fare if they're just going on a single ride. And in the event that there are individuals, for that matter, at any age, who have an affordability issue, there is a fee subsidy program. Now, it may be a bit cumbersome and difficult to access, and maybe that should be fixed. But to have across the board a blank free transit for seniors has never made any sense to me, and had to deal with it on a number of occasions, and always took that position.
What does it hurt to have? I mean, if people, even though they could afford it, hopped on transit, aren't you just increasing ridership and maybe helping them, get to a place they're comfortable with transit? So if and when the time comes that they don't have a vehicle or whatever the case may be, they're accustomed to using it. Like, isn't bums on seat a good thing for transit?
Well, sure, it is a good thing, and that's why we have a fee subsidy program to allow people who are low income at all ages One of the other problems is that you may not understand is that there's requests all the time for free transit for different age groups, children up to such an age, or different types of individuals and different groups all the time. There's requests for free or highly subsidized transit. So it's again a potential precedent-setting issue that could lead for more and more requests. Now, having said all of that, and I think you're going to get there eventually in the interview, I think transit should be free for everybody. Now, that's a bit pie in the sky at this point in time, I understand, but I see transit as other services that are provided. Ballparks and swimming pools and other things. Maybe there should be a very nominal charge for it, but that essentially it would be accessible to everybody. And as part of a climate change strategy, I think it makes a lot of sense.
You read my mind, Tom, because in our conversations about this, I think your point is well taken that many, not all, but many seniors certainly have the financial wherewithal to afford transit. I think your next point is very well taken, that there are so many requests for quote unquote free transit. If you offer to seniors, then what's the next cohort that comes and asks for that service? But it does bring us around to this whole idea. And one of the things that was said in the lobbying from our folks in the age-friendly community space at regional council as we're going through this budget, it really struck me. Is transit a service, or is it a business that we must recoup costs from and have some sort of ROI on? And that got me thinking about that very thing you just talked about. Why don't we provide transit service free? And I know that means on the tax base, but why don't we do that? What might that look like if we were to do that, Tom?
Well, why don't we do it? Well, it's really because of the cost. There is about $45 to $50 million, I believe. I'm guessing there, though, so don't hold me to that. In revenue that Grand River Transit collects for the conventional bus and ION, and that revenue would have to be replaced in some other way if you're going to have free transit. Well, there are some cost savings if you have free transit. So you wouldn't have to have the fee subsidy program, which is about $3 million. And you wouldn't need fare collectors and money counters and all that staff that is required to process fares. And you wouldn't need the rather expensive ticket machines that require maintenance in the case of ION, if you had free transit. So you would have some savings, but still in all, it would be a very significant net cost. And these times when, housing and homelessness and food security and other issues are vital and maybe a more priority, it's just difficult to get to a free transit situation, which would require, not necessarily immediately, you would probably transition into it by reducing fares down to zero. And if you did that over a 6 or 7 year period, you would have to increase property taxes probably by around 1% a year in order to accommodate that. And then accumulatively, that would be 6 or 7%. And that'd be my guess as to how it would become free. Currently, the routes that are decided on are supposed to have some kind of a payback. So the routes themselves and the frequencies that the routes run on are based on a percentage payback basis, and if they don't meet that percentage, then the route is either adjusted, amalgamated, or reduced in frequency in order to get it to that particular standard. So there would be a challenge to determine, if you didn't have a fair revenue standard, what should be the routing, what should be the frequency, and there could be, a lot of creep in terms of increased service that would be demanded that may not make in the current situation make the fair threshold. So there's certainly some challenges, but there are a number of communities in North America now that do have free transit, and it's a fairly common phenomenon in Europe.
I guess what this all comes down to, and you mentioned that these requests have been made over the years, to going back to your time on council, it really is a matter of priority, because obviously you'd have to find that 1% per year if we're talking free across the board or whatever the case may be. But there are so many competing priorities on that budget at the regional level that free transit for seniors, for any group or entirely, just gets knocked further and further down that list of priorities.
Well, you see it every year in the past number of years, of course. The police budget comes in and takes what it needs, and there's very little discretion, it appears, in that particular regard. And then what's left over is sorted out between all the other various programs that the region has. And again, this year, there's no expansion, or I don't think there's much expansion in transit, because the money simply isn't there, and the rate increase, that is the property tax rate increase, is going to probably be above inflation significantly again. So the opportunity to introduce even some fare reduction and some kind of a plan towards free transit probably just isn't in the cards for the time being. And I'm not sure when that will actually be looking forward. But there is this other imperative that is in front of us, and that's climate change. And this is certainly, free transit would certainly be a strategy in that regard. In other jurisdictions that have gone from fare-based transit to free transit, they calculate about a 15% increase in usage. So it's not exponential, but the 15% increase would also probably require some increased service. There are routes now that if you added 15% more passengers to it, they wouldn't be able to handle it. So you're going to probably have to increase either the fleet or the frequency in some cases. So there could be some additional costs associated with it as well. On the other hand, the staff, when I've talked to staff about this in the past, there are some staff that feel it shouldn't be free, only from the point of view that free service sometimes just isn't valued by the average person. And there could be some disregard for the service and the equipment, the buses and everything else, because it's free. And some jurisdictions have gone to ride for a buck or something like that, which is pretty close to free by today's standards, but it does still require a fare. Now, do you want to spend all that money on fare collection and fare checking for $1? Probably not. So there are some different options that could be done. But I don't know if regional council's in a position for some time to consider it.
While I've got you, Tom, and before I let you go, I think I would be remiss if I didn't ask you about LRT Phase 2, since we are talking about transit in this region, and you were the go-to guy on Phase 1, or as you like to describe yourself, the whipping boy for LRT Phase 1. But how important do you believe it is that we get Phase 2 into Cambridge completed?
Well, I think it's critical for a number of reasons, Mike. First and foremost, it's the planning tool, and the planning tool has worked so very well in saving farmland and not pushing the community out in Kitchener-Waterloo, and really incenting intensification. The proof is really quite obvious. And the amount of new farmland that's been consumed has been reduced by half because of the LRT and other intensification strategies. So there's that reason, and that's the primary reason for the whole route, and we need to do that in Cambridge as well. But I also believe it's a region building project at this point too. To not do it in Cambridge would be the wrong message to send in terms of region building. It was from the beginning, from the very, very beginning, it was always one system all the way from North Waterloo down to Ainsley Street. But the provincial and federal government would not fund the entire route and said that it had to be phased. We were prepared to do it, but the senior levels of government couldn't justify the second phase that as we know it now. So it's really critical for all those reasons.
I'm going to miss our Friday night get together for a meal in the media room in Kitchener, but we'll pick that up next week, Tom, when we're back home with the Rangers. And I appreciate you making time for us on the show today. Thanks very much.
Thanks then, Mike.
Tom Galloway, former regional counselor, timekeeper with the Kitchener Rangers. I'm going to buy him dinner in the media room next week, which means I'm buying him the free meal. He joins us. It is my turn. He joins us on the Mike Farwell Show this morning, 570 News Radio and Rogers TV.
And again, this year, there's no expansion, or I don't think there's much expansion in transit because the money simply isn't there. And the rate increase, property tax rate increase, is going to probably be above inflation significantly again. So the opportunity to introduce even some fare reduction and some kind of a plan towards free transit probably just isn't in the cards for the time being.
Tom Galloway is a former regional counselor and was our go-to guy. He called himself the whipping boy on LRT Phase 1. But I've been advocating for, and I still maintain, I think free transit for seniors is an excellent idea. I take Tom's points to heart, though, especially with the idea that you make it free for seniors. What's the next group that comes and says, well, if it's free for seniors, it should be free for this demographic or that demographic? And that leads into the broader conversation about whether or not transit should have a fare at all, or is it a service that a community provides to its residents, which, as much as I'm a stickler and a cheapskate, I can get behind the idea of transit being that service that you ride for free in your community. Yes, that would have to come at the expense of other priorities, but I would be more than happy to take a look inside those books and see if we could find those other priorities that I think are lesser than free transit. That's just from where I'm sitting. Let's go to the phones and hear from you. Always like doing that. Jason is with us this morning. Good morning, Jason.
Good morning, Mike. I got to agree with everything Tom said, your guest. And anything that has a capacity issue should have some sort of cost to it. Because if there's no cost to it, then as you said, people won't respect it. So libraries should be free because we want people to use libraries. So they should always be free. Things like transit and even going to the GP and things like that, they should have some sort of fee, even if it's nominal, like $5 or $10, because if it has zero cost, then people will go and use it when they don't need to. If it's like $10, it's like, well, do I want to spend $10? And you can have it means tested. So a lot of seniors are wealthy, but another large group has no money. So if it's means tested and they don't have a lot of money, then let it be free for them. And if the other people want to use the transit and they have the means, they just can't drive or don't want to drive, then charge them $10. And just a quick example, my friend was at the hospital. He'd cut his finger off, and he was waiting an hour just to be triaged, like not even see the nurse in the first place. Like his finger was cut off. He had to go to the ambulance outside that was waiting and have them bandage it. And the lady in front of him was there because at the emergency, her daughter had a bleeding nose. Now, if we charged her $10 and she could afford $10, she probably would have said, well, I'll deal with it the way our parents dealt with our bloody noses. And then thirdly, where he said is that people don't appreciate it. I have a business where I was providing a free service and nobody wanted to use it. I charged them $10 a month and everybody started signing up. So you don't need to paint it with a large brush. Like if you can do means testing, but anything with capacity has to have a charge to it.
Jason, appreciate the call. And I think you're absolutely right about this idea that there must be value assigned to something, right? I mean, if not, then we just don't appreciate it as much. I'm going to quickly go to George very quickly before our news update. George, good morning.
Yes, Mike, I will make it quick. As a right-wing conservative, I fully think it should be free across the board because there's so many other perks that would come about from it where everybody would jump on transit, less cars in core of our cities, and I think it'd be a better fit.
Thanks, George. Great to hear from you. Thanks for keeping it short. The Coaches Show with Rangers head coach UC Ahokas coming up on the Mike Farwell Show, 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. That is the sound you hear when the Kitchener Rangers score a goal on home ice at the Memorial Auditorium. It's also the sound you hear every Friday morning at this time when we welcome the head coach of the Kitchener Rangers, UC Ahokas, to our show for the Coaches Show. Usually what we do is give UC a phone call on Friday mornings to tee up tonight's game because Fridays are game days, baby. You know that. Fridays are hockey nights in Kitchener. Just turns out that this week we are on the road, so it's a hockey night for your Kitchener Rangers, but here in Flint, where we are broadcasting from. And when we're on the road, schedules are a little bit different. It's not the usual day for the Kitchener Rangers. In fact, as we speak, they are over at the rink for their morning skate at the Dort Financial Center, so we can't phone the head coach, who's going to be out on the ice running the players through those drills at their morning skate. So instead, before the team breakfast here at the hotel today, I caught up with UC Ahokas to have this little chat for the Coaches Show. UC, you had a strong second period in the Sioux on Wednesday night, probably the best period that you had in the game. What made the team successful in that second period?
Ozone, we played well. Boys won battles. Then also we were smarter with the puck. I thought first period we didn't manage puck well. And that's why you have stupid turnovers, and that's when the other team gets advantage. And but when you manage the puck well and you win your battles, and then the guys made good choices. That's when we created a lot. And that second period we played well, but it's a tough one. Like third period, there was a couple bad puck managements where they got 5-on-5, they got few chances, but then third period PK that wasn't what we want, and but still, I think. Missing quite a few guys, and then kind of going short. We have quite many D playing in offense, playing forwards, and still we managed well. So it's a special team what we have. I think the whole season we haven't played our best, and still we're okay. We're still leading the division, but we all know we can play a lot better.
What do you think of that young boy, Forrest, who can come in? You play him, he's a defenseman, you play him at forward with Pridham and Humphreys.
Well, for him, you could see he hasn't practiced with us for a while. It's a big jump from junior B to our game, and of course he has a lot of skills, great speed, great kid. He didn't have his best game with us, and I don't. It's hard to jump into OHL game right away. He's a D, but we have to use him as a forward right now, and for him, it's I think every game when he gets to play with us is for him a good thing and experience, and he gets to know what it takes to play in this league and manage the puck, but great kid. I see a bright future for him as a Kitchener Ranger.
You talked about that PK. In the third period, you were still up, and Romano had a break on the PK. That's how close you were. Do you take away from a good team in the Sioux that you were right there with them, and if that play goes differently, you might win that game?
Well, that's how it goes. You score. The goals are so huge. You score in the right time, and it changes the whole game, and that's why you need the players to score. And too bad we didn't score. They get another power play, and they score on that, and it's tight. It's tight. And then the overtime one, we had a breakaway there, and we didn't use that, and then they get that a little bit after the blue shot in, and that's how it goes. And but all in all, our boys battled well, and we need to. I think we'll be more ready. Like the 10-hour bus drive was quite a lot, but I think the boys will be ready against Flint.
That game against the Sioux, they had 18 goals in their last two games. They have a high-powered offense, and you held them to just 3 goals in overtime. Is that the kind of defense you want to see from your team?
Well, I think we didn't play good defense that game, so that's actually I was quite mad for that. We did stupid mistakes there. Kershey played well, so I was happy with that. But yeah, I think when we dial in and when we're playing really well, like that's when we're at our best. Like that's everybody buys into our team system, and that's when we play good defense, then have good offense, and that's you win games, you win championships when you buy in. You buy into your success. Of course, you need couple players who can make a difference. You need the difference makers, but I think we're still we're kind of looking where we want to be, and we're in good position. And I think some of our boys, they'll take a big jump still during this year.
What do you need to see against Flint to be successful?
Well, they've been hot. They're leading the conference right now, but you have to play a good tight game. You have to be physical. You have to manage pucks, and then against them, especially, you have to finish your chances.
Thanks for this. Good luck in the game.
Thank you.
Rangers head coach UC Ahokas. I caught up with him before the team breakfast here at the hotel in Flint this morning, looking ahead to tonight's game and back at the game Wednesday night in the Sioux. And I always love it when the coach puts me in my place like that. No, I didn't think we defended well at all. I was very mad at the boys. And then meanwhile, that was a Sioux team that the Kitchener Rangers were facing on Wednesday that had scored 18 goals in its past 2 games. And Kitchener held them to 1 goal through 2 periods and 3 goals in total, but it was the Greyhounds coming from behind, trailing 2-1 and winning 3-2 in overtime. As for those Flint Firebirds, if not for a win last night by the Windsor Spitfires, they would still be sitting on top of the Western Conference. Instead, with Windsor's win in Peterborough last night, Windsor back on top of the Western Conference with 46 points, and Flint is right there with 45. The Rangers with 3rd most points in the conference at 39. And that still leads the Midwest Division. And the Rangers got some help on the out-of-town scoreboard last night. Barrie beat up on the Owen Sound Attack 6-1. And the Niagara Ice Dogs built a 4-1 lead on the London Knights and hung on for a 4-3 win. So the Rangers' 39 points is 3 better than Owen Sound and 4 better than London. Tonight in Flint will not be easy, but with those out-of-town scores last night and other Midwest Division teams losing, it's an opportunity for the Rangers to get some separation. The challenge, of course, will be doing that against this very tough Flint team. They beat Guelph on Wednesday night 9-1, matching their season high in goals scored in a game. They've won 7 in a row on home ice, the Firebirds have. And I think overall they're 14 of 16 now, points in 14 of their last 16, something along those lines. But they have just won very recently 11 in a row. They only had that streak broken recently by the Peterborough Petes the night before the Petes came into Kitchener last Friday. This Firebirds team is buzzing right now. And they're doing that thanks in large part to Nathan Aspinall, the New York Rangers prospect, who has now taken over the league lead in points in the OHL. For the longest time, it was all Brantford Bulldogs in the top 5 scorers of the Ontario Hockey League. But now Nathan Aspinall, thanks to a 5-point night last night, that was a career high, or pardon me, Wednesday night, his first career hat trick. Imagine that. But Aspinall now with 47 points is one better than Jake O'Brien of the Bulldogs in the OHL. And Cole Baudouin with his 41 points, the Barrie Colts forward, Cole Baudouin, is 5th in league scoring. The 3 in the middle between Aspinall in 1st and Baudouin in 5th, Jake O'Brien, Adam Bannock, and Merrick Van Acker of the Brantford Bulldogs. But Aspinall is something else. He's the reigning OHL Player of the Month, and he is certainly not slowing down. So the Kitchener Rangers will have their hands full tonight. No Cameron Reid. The captain caught an early flight out of the Soo on Thursday morning to go back home and make the arrangements to get to Niagara Falls for Team Canada's tryouts. Hopefully, Cameron Reid puts on that maple leaf and represents our country at the World Juniors this Christmas. Christian Kirsch is still with the Rangers. I suspect he will play tonight. Why not use him one more time before he heads out and joins the Swiss national team for those World Juniors? But the Rangers will be without Reid. Sounds like Tanner Lamb will be back tonight. He missed the game on Wednesday because of the flu, but we think he'll be back in the lineup tonight. And it will be Rangers and Firebirds from the Dort here in Flint, Michigan. The Harris Law pregame show gets underway at 6:30. Josh Piercy and I setting you up for the game and then bringing you all of the action between the Rangers and the Firebirds. Speaking of Josh Piercy, he'll join me next from our remote studio here in Flint as we get you some insight to being on the road with the Kitchener Rangers. As we continue the Mike Farwell Show this morning, this is 570 News Radio and Rogers TV.
Something's at the edge of your mind. You don't know what it is. Something you were hoping to find. You're not sure what it is. Then you hear the music and it all comes crystal clear. The music does the talking, says the things you want to hear. I'm young, I'm wild, I'm free.
Oh, Rick Emmett and Triumph. They got the magic power and the music. I'm just making up a little bit of the lyrics there, but it is the All Request Friday Surprise Songs edition here on the show. And Glenn wanted to hear some Triumph because Glenn says, surprise, Triumph is going on tour next year. All right, you're stretching the theme a bit there, but I'm always here for a little bit of Canadian content, Canadian rock and roll. And isn't it interesting that just last evening we were talking about that very band as Josh Piercy joins me here in the makeshift studio in Flint. So makeshift that he may fall out of frame here on Rogers TV. What did I make you sit on?
I think this is a drying rack, Mike. I'm not sure if it's supposed to support the weight of a full-grown man, but at least a couple of dress shirts. So if I fall inconspicuously out of frame here, it's because I've fallen to the ground and probably broke my tailbone, and then I'll be on the IR for the next 2 Rangers calls. So, but we're here right now. And Triumph, I love that song. Triumph is one of those bands that you don't really know who they are until you hear them and you go, oh, that Triumph.
That Triumph.
Of course.
Yeah. Glenn told me when he made the request that he saw them play in his hometown of Hanover way back when. I love Hanover, got some great memories of that part of Grey County, but we'll leave that aside for now. We talk about Triumph last night because when we get into Flint, there's a nice, it's, in my mind, the perfect little pub next door. It's pretty quiet. They got cold beer, which is all I really ever ask for. Some interesting characters in there. We get to take in some Thursday night football. And of course, the Moose is always around. He loves his music. That's how we got talking about Triumph. But it's a little bit of a slice of life on the road. And I know this is your first tour through the league. How are you enjoying life on the road?
I mean, it's it really, you kind of get taken out of real life for a moment. And, we're on day 4 here now, but last time I think we did this road trip, day 4 kind of felt like week 7, and now this time day 4 actually kind of feels like day 2. I feel like it's flown by. You kind of just get taken out of time. You're riding buses. You're eating like these young athletes. So we're eating every 3 hours, and I'm there stuffed like a Smartie. I have no idea where I'm going to fit the rest of it, but it's cool. I mean, you get to hear all the stories from the Moose. Sometimes it's hard to get a word in edgewise. The guy has so many stories, but yeah, you get to see a couple cool places like Churchill's, like you were talking about last night. When we go to Saginaw, we'll have our normal walk around the 4 Points Inn, I'm sure, trying to avoid the traffic. Last time we saw a poor deer on the side of the road, and that was about as much of a highlight as we got out of that walk.
I
But
thought we were going to end up like
I
that
know.
deer with that road you
It was
took us down. I'm like,
treacherous.
where are we going
It was
here?
treacherous.
Absolutely.
Look, we've had good weather this trip too. We've had nothing but bluebird days, so that's been lovely. And yeah, again, you get to just kind of meet the salt of the earth people around these small towns that host these OHL franchises.
The great thing about Churchill's is that's when Moose reaches his little Tyrannosaurus Rex arm into his wallet. The dust flies out, but that's because you go to Churchill's next door to this hotel in Flint and you get a draft. Yingling, I love me some Yingling beer down here. $3.50 a pint.
Oh yeah.
$3.50. When we were in Sault Ste. Marie, $11.
Well,
That's why Moosey pays in Flint.
He was considering taking the wallet out in the Sioux, but even with that Canadian exchange rate, it's much better to take it out here in Flint.
All right. You talked about the weather, which has been much better for us than it has been for our friends and family back home. We're sorry for that, friends and family. But let's talk a little bit about the hockey club, Josh. And I was alluding to this at the end of the conversation just moments ago with UC Ahokas. I would say massive game tonight, as massive as game 30 on the schedule can be for a hockey club, or 31. What do we got left? 4 before Christmas. So this is number 31 tonight. Anyway, Firebirds are playing really well, and the Rangers maybe had one that slipped away from them on Wednesday night in the Sioux.
Yeah, it was a tough game in the Sioux, but I think going into that one, we sort of knew what the Rangers were getting themselves into. That Sioux team is high flying, they're high octane, they score plenty of goals, they've got big bodies on that lineup as well. So, but with these Flint Firebirds, I still don't know. We've faced them twice. The Rangers have faced them twice, but I still don't know what kind of team to expect. Obviously, you've got the star power of, I heard you mention Nathan Aspinall's name just a few moments ago, and the points that young man is putting up. It's been an incredible season for him. Mason Vicari, a very good goaltender in his own right as well. And what Paul Flash is doing with that team right now, I think is pretty incredible, and I'm excited to see them. But I still don't know what to expect out of those guys because we saw one really good game from them earlier this year when they kind of played the Rangers out of this stadium, and it was a 3-0 win for those Firebirds. But then back at the odd, 4-1 for the Rangers, and I thought pretty comprehensive. So we'll see. I think this Rangers team is still kind of figuring out a couple of things too, especially now that the captain will be away tonight. They've still got a few players missing, and we're at that point in the year where you're just trying to get over the line and get to that little holiday break because there's so many games in recent weeks. I mean, we've even felt it, and all we do is sit up in the box and watch the game and sometimes eat popcorn. So
you nailed it. That we have been playing a really heavy schedule. 4 games last week, the last of which was the Sunday game where the Rangers beat the Storm before we headed out here on the road. And you do start looking ahead to that Christmas break. As I said, 4 games, including tonight before Christmas, will be tomorrow in Saginaw. 4 games including tonight. Yeah, tomorrow in Saginaw. Next Wednesday, we'll do a midweek roadie down to Sarnia, and then the Owen Sound Attack come in on Friday the 19th, 1 week from today, back at the Memorial Auditorium to close out the pre-Christmas portion of the schedule, and that'll be 34 games in. I'll let you in on this little secret. I don't think it's too much of a secret to say, but I got to breakfast early yesterday, and UC Ahokas was the only one there, and we just got to chatting about a bunch of things, and he did say that when he looked at the final 5 games that started with the Sioux, he thought, should win 4 or 5, or I want to win 4 or 5. Mm-hmm. So you lost the first one. Yeah. Now you want to win the next 4. And boy, oh boy, wouldn't you love a player like Nathan Aspinall to be able to call on with the way he's been playing for the Firebirds?
And he's just got the perfect frame that this Kitchener Rangers team wants to. They want some more size up front. He's just a big, beastie center, and he puts up plenty of points. So But to UC Ahokas' point, I think you look past this game on the schedule, and there are plenty of winnable games. Saginaw, you could win that game. Sarnia is one of the worst teams in the league. I feel for them. Obviously, it's been a tough year and not getting any easier. And then Owen Sound looks like they could be as vulnerable as we will see them this year. They'll have that break and they'll get to recoup some of those injuries. They'll get to lick their wounds a little bit. But for the Rangers, this is really the big hump that you need to get over. If you can get a win tonight, you can really set yourself up to put yourself into cruise control a little bit and play well, but know that you'll have easier opposition in the next games. But yeah, big one here tonight. I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a great game. And if you're interested in hockey at all, I'd definitely consider listening in or watching on. But these Firebirds, boy, are they tough. So it won't be an easy one.
You've survived the drying rack here.
Just about.
Quickly, before we go to the news update, what does the guy do on the road before the Harris Law pregame show tonight at 6:30?
Oh, well, today I'm going with Moosey and Mr. Nick Tatler. I'm going to hit the bus and I'm going to go to the Tim Hortons so that we can get the Tim Hortons for all the boys. It's about 38 coffees and a million bagels, and you really got to play a game of Tetris just to try to fit it all in there and then carry it between the bus. Don't slip on the ice, get into the dark, dingy basement of the Dort Financial Center, and then try to find out where that coffee's going. So it's a game inside of a game.
Never a dull moment on the road. Josh Piercy and I will be on the air with the Harris Law pregame show tonight at 6:30. Rangers and Firebirds here on 570 News Radio. It is an all request Friday surprise songs edition. This one, I will confess, does not meet the theme. However, I could not resist playing this song for Sonia today because Sonia's email for an all request Friday request was because she's been waiting for her anniversary to fall on a Friday, and this is it. Sonia and her hubby Frank celebrate 44 years of marriage on this very day. And she was hoping that we could play a snippet of a Max Webster song, Words to Words. Frank introduced Sonia to Max Webster and Rush. You're a good man, Frank. You're a good man, which Sonia says is quite the change from Peter Frampton and Donny Osmond, who she had been listening to prior. So there you go. A little all request anniversary dedication on the show this morning. Fridays, we also welcome some guests to discuss the big stories of the week. It's our Friday 4 roundtable, and very pleased to be joined this morning around the virtual table by Caitlin Kilgore, who is the co-owner of Dream Team Video Productions. Good morning, Caitlin.
Good morning. How are you?
Excellent. Thank you. How about yourself?
Oh, I'm absolutely loving the weather. I might be one of the only few, but I'm so happy that winter is here to stay.
All right, you be you, Kilgore. You be you, because I ain't loving any bit of this, but I'm happy that you're happy. Janice Jim is with us as well, the Vice President of Cycle Waterloo Region. Janice, good morning to you.
Good morning.
And we have Dave Jaworski back with us after a long absence because it's hard to schedule the dedicated pickleball player on Friday mornings, but we were able to make him join us today because I guess what? No pickleball today, Dave?
No pickleball today for me. Played yesterday.
Okay, good stuff. Glad you could be with us here today. Thanks for making time for the show. Dave, of course, is also the former mayor of the city of Waterloo. Okay, let's dive in because we have much to discuss, not the least of which are the water woes that have suddenly arisen here in the region of Waterloo. Caitlin, I'll start with you on this one. How do you suppose we ended up with this water shortage here in the region of Waterloo?
I think the population growth is definitely the number one key and factor to look at. I know that there's a plan to have the region of Waterloo grow to a certain number. I can't remember off the top of my head what it was. And that all comes with the talks of a new hospital and everything as well. But the population growth, the expansion, we're not meeting the needs and numbers of where we are clearly. And the water shortage is almost kind of like a sneaky little way popping up for everyone. Um, that will affect everyone when you see shortages of things like doctors and different things like that. This is something that everyone now notices and affects the entire region. The population growth and the demand is not being met, and this is just going to be one of those key features. And it's crazy to see as well, especially when we live in a country that has more lakes than the rest of the world combined at 2 million. Clearly not being able to look at our resources properly, and how we're using it, and being able to educate our citizens as well on how to use less water and how to be more resourceful in that aspect as well. But it's definitely something that is not going to go away. And if we don't take action and start looking at things like that and how we're going to meet the demand with our growing population, this is just going to get a lot worse.
I do think this is a bit of a wake-up call for us for sure. The population in the region of Waterloo anticipated to grow by about 40% in the next 3 decades or so, from 700,000-ish now to about 1 million. We talk all the time about being 1 million ready for, for a number of the reasons that Caitlin just mentioned, the new hospital coming, doctors, etc. And all of a sudden it springs up this little surprise for us that, oh, hang on a second, we are having a water capacity, not quality, but quantity issue. And we're going to try to figure out how to deal with that. Janice, what do you make of this little surprise we got about a week ago?
I think it's a good wake-up call for our region, like you guys mentioned, because our population is going to grow to 1 million, and we need to be ready. And water is not a resource that you can easily, wish out of thin air. It's either we pipe it in from the lake, which would cost millions of dollars for a pipe or a line to the lake, or we manage our existing resources better. So it's a good alarm for us to for our regional government and for our cities to carefully consider any projects, any industrial large-scale use projects, and also our current water licensing system. Because I think under the Ontario government, there's pretty loose rules about who's allowed to take water out in large quantities. I know there's a plant in Guelph that was bottling water and paying, pennies for it and selling it back to us, right? These are the kind of projects that we need to be on guard for, because, our population need it more than industrial projects. And now with the data center AI boom, we have to be extra careful, because those data centers, use up huge amounts of water. And we don't, it doesn't generate that much economic benefit for our region. So I think it's a good timing for it, for us to be on guard about what we're doing with future projects.
Dave Jaworski, I'm sure the word pipeline is a familiar one to you, having spent time, of course, as the mayor of Waterloo and then on regional council. It's always been talked about it in the background in this region for decades now, the idea of a pipeline to Lake Erie. And Janice is right, billions of dollars is what it would cost. And it would take 20 years if we started tomorrow, which we're not about to do. But what's your take on the water concerns that have been raised here in the region, Dave?
Well, I think it's good for Matthew, the CAO, to have highlighted it, because it's something that it's a study that needs to be done every 10 years or so. At the municipalities, we redo studies every 10, 15, 20 years. And if we look at this, back in 2017, I was actually on the other end of the cycle. I was on the sewage study. And let me tell you, that's a crappy job.
Were you working on that one all morning, DJ?
Yeah, I was.
Yeah,
I was.
okay, good.
So that's something that we really need to look at, is our water needs. And so roll back time to when I was on council, what we had heard, and the report's still posted from 2015 on water supply. And essentially, based on all the things at the time, our water supply was fine for the coming decades. And as a matter of fact, we asked the question about the proverbial pipeline, and they said that would be beyond the planning timeframe of what is needed. All our needs will be met. So what's changed? And I think that's really what Matthew's saying. The region needs to look at is what's changed. And a lot has changed. So back then, we had water use in households, thanks to savings, had plummeted. We were using 19 kiloliters per household. It dropped to 17 kiloliters. And just put that in perspective, that's 17,000 liters per household. One of those cases of bottled water contains about 12. So if you had 1,000 cases in your garage, that wouldn't do you for a month. And so we had every reason to believe that water consumption would continue to plummet because we use way too much in our needs here in Canada. And so that I don't think that has happened. And what else has happened? Well, since then we've launched the LRT, and not only that, we've seen the benefits of redevelopment thanks to LRT. We'll see that in the coming years in Cambridge. Hopefully, that's what we all want to see. Population growth is going to occur much quicker. Instead of planning for 1 million people by 2050, we're going to see 1 million people before that, which again is another Kitchener added to our region. We need to look at how the wells are doing, where the development is going to be. A lot has changed in planning and development over the past handful of years. And so we need to look at that. So I think this is just a really good plan by the region of Waterloo to say we need to pause things. It's unfortunate that things may be paused for a bit, but I don't think they'll be for too long. I would think that a water study can be done in a couple of quarters, and we'll be on with things. But let's all hope. If we all wanted to help out on this, we'd all consume less water and add more water-saving devices in our homes.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really interesting on the planning front, of course, with the region having been stripped of its planning authority by the provincial government. Now the municipalities can plan new developments, and the region's going to have to say, hang on a second, we have to pump the brakes here because the region is trying to manage this water concern that we currently have as the municipalities approve developments to build more homes. It's a really interesting time. Dave Jaworski, Caitlin Kilgore, and Janice Jim with us here on the Friday 4 Roundtable this morning. Do you want to say something else, Dave? Is that what you waved for?
No, that was waving hello, Mike.
Okay, good. I just wanted to make sure I caught it out of the corner of my eye just as we're going to take a break. When we come back, City of Waterloo is going to be the first to have a closed circuit television camera, some CCTV, so that police can keep an eye on things. How do we feel about the electronic eye in the sky, especially about the fact we won't know exactly where it is? We'll talk about it with our Friday 4 Roundtable as we continue this morning on the Mike Farwell Show. This is 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. That is Peter Gabriel by request of both Craig and Sandy on this All Request Friday surprise songs edition. A little bit of Shock the Monkey, you see? Surprise, shock, unexpected. This is how it works, and you're always doing a very good job in keeping with the theme. Our Friday 4 Roundtable this morning has Janice Jim, Dave Jaworski, and Caitlin Kilgore with us. Janice, I'll start with you on this next one, and that is the use of CCTV cameras by regional police. The first of those cameras to be installed in Waterloo. They've got the agreement made. What do you think of having that electronic eye, I was going to say in the sky, but on top of a pole somewhere in Waterloo to help suppress crime?
Very concerned. It's another, step towards being a surveillance state. I agreed with the police when they put up the cameras during big events like St. Patrick's Day. I think there was a reason for that, but now I don't see the reasoning behind it, and the phrasing of the agreement seems kind of vague about who can access and who's watching, and then also the cameras constantly being moved locations. That seems a little bit, fishy to me. If there is areas of concern, high crime areas that they are necessary, they should make the case for it. And hey, post notice to the community, hey, this is a high incident area. We're going to put this camera here for this period of time. But now we have this 52 cameras throughout the region that are floating around. Like, did I expect people to go every day to look up, hey, where's the camera today? So I am like really concerned about this program.
We heard similar concerns when speed cameras were being installed, and now, of course, the provincial government has taken back that power from municipalities. But Dave Jaworski, what do you think of the eye atop the pole in Waterloo?
Well, when I first heard about it, Mike, I was a bit surprised because, we normally don't have that. You watch television and you see all these British shows and there's cameras everywhere, right? And we just don't have that similar thing. And then last night I took the opportunity to watch the presentation to Waterloo Council. I think it was September 29th. And they go through the fact that there's going to be no live monitoring, no facial recognition. There's going to be public notice. There's going to be signage around the locations where the cameras will be. In Ontario, we have what's called the Information and Privacy Commissioner that the municipalities and all other similar organizations report into. And in order to do anything, we have to go through them with what's called a privacy impact assessment. And they've gone through that. They've presented it to the local municipalities. And I think it's going to be another investigative tool in the tool belt for police. We've all seen the police budget continue to go up as they need to keep hiring and hiring and hiring. And this is one way they'll help, I believe, close some cases. We look at the robberies that have taken place at jewelry stores such as Conestoga Mall. They get in their car, they drive away. Now, if there was a camera, say, for example, on the on-ramp, you might catch that car or view that car or view the license plate. They'll have a license plate recognition for criminal vehicles that they're looking for. It's a great video. They gave examples of communities like Winnipeg, which have been using it, I think, since 2009. And in Ontario here, York Region, Guelph, and another city they gave as an example of ones who've been using it for some time. So this came as a bit of a surprise, but when I looked into it, I found it actually wasn't a surprise. And if we look at what's going on with Ring doorbells and dash cams and pretty much everything seems to be on video nowadays. I think it's worth paying attention to and getting reports from the police on how they're using it. But after doing the review last night, I'm pretty confident it's just another tool in the tool belt, but for us to keep apprised of, as Janice well said.
I really appreciate that in-depth review, Dave, because this is something where we know the camera will be there and there will be guardrails, I guess, put around it and the reporting back, etc. Your point initially about, Britain and the number of cameras that are in use all the time just reminds me of many, many years ago. And I forget the exact number, but it was just talked about the number of cameras that any average person would pass in a given day, walking past a bank, for example. When you use the ATM, you're on camera, like so many different times. And I've basically, as a citizen, given up on like the privacy that I have lost, because wherever you go, the likelihood of you being on a camera somewhere is exponentially increased today compared to a decade ago.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, Mike. We see them in our municipal, if you go into an arena, you've probably been on camera on the way in just to make sure nothing is happening outside for a later review if something does.
Yeah, it's a great point. Caitlin, I'll swing it over to you and your thoughts on this.
Yeah, there's obviously the pros and the negatives to everything, but I think transparency with the public is going to be key. Showing, this is the reports of what we've gotten so far. These are the areas that we want to target and why. I think that really needs to be made public and let everybody know. And yeah, the same thing you just said about cameras being everywhere already. I think it's who's using it and why, what they're going to be using it for more specifically. Just because the same thing, you walk past hundreds of cameras every single day. You are on camera. People can come up to you in public and put cameras in your face. It's very aggressive. Everybody uses security cameras, CCT cameras, but now it's being put into much different hands. And that can make the public a little weary, obviously, at times. What are you watching for? There's if the footage hasn't been used or is going to trial, it'll be deleted within 30 days. Things like that. Why is it being deleted then? What if it needs to go back? Blah, blah, blah. We'll see all that kind of stuff. Similar, I think, as with body cams that officers are already using. But I think obviously with like license plate recognition, being able to get stuff like that. Like I remember, I want to say it was early 2010s when there was a group of people stealing ATM machines in the middle of the night. They got the odd, they got the movie theater, different things like that. And the same thing, if you are in an arena, Live Barn is in almost every single arena now. Everything is being recorded. It's never turned off. We've seen instances, unfortunately, where the season has ended and there were summer camps and youth programs within the arena, and those were being recorded because the cameras were never turned off. So you have to look at instances like that and being able to make reports public, so that information is there, so everyone is aware of what they are using those cameras for specifically.
It's a wonder anybody gets away with anything anymore when you really think about it. We're all caught on camera doing something at some time, as we are here on the show this morning. Caitlin Kilgore, Janice Jim, and Dave Jaworski with us on our Friday 4 Roundtable. We'll get you an update from the 570 News Center. And then Ontario Premier Doug Ford, he's saying it again. Come on, we gotta get our Ontario public servants back to the office 5 days a week. Let's go. Is it time? We'll talk about it with our roundtable as we continue on the Mike Farwell Show this morning. 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. This was the first song I had in mind when it came to All Request Friday Surprise Songs edition. You see, it was a little bit of surprise that I even ended up doing this show today, but we're stationed in one place and I could get from the remote studios here in Flint to you. Always happy to be engaged in these conversations. So we made surprise the theme for All Request Friday, and Mark wanted to hear Venus by Shocking Blue. Well done. Shocking in the artist's name, of course. With us on our Friday 4 Roundtable, something else we do every Friday from 11 until noon, the former mayor of Waterloo, who now spends his time pickleballing and pedaling on his bicycle. Avid cyclist and pickleball player Dave Jaworski is with us. The co-owner of Dream Team Video Productions, Caitlin Kilgore, is here. And Janice Jim, who is the vice president of Cycle Waterloo Region. Dave, you get first crack at this next one, which is Ontario Premier Doug Ford, again reminding us that it's time. Let's get back to work 5 days per week in the office, on site, in a bricks and mortar building for Ontario public servants. Is it time for this to happen, Dave?
Well, Mike, who did you say said that? Who was that again?
Ontario Premier Doug Ford.
Really? Because It's funny, yesterday I see that the Ontario legislature is going to take a 14-week winter break, not a 14-day, a 14-week winter break to follow up on their 19-week summer break. Now, I think that's dissimilar to what Rogers offers you, based on the fact that you're working here remotely. But, it's it's a little bit rich. I think that the horses left the barn on 5 days back in the week in the office for people who are office workers. If you look at the people who are here on the Zoom call today, everyone here is being more productive by the fact that they're able to use technology and work at their convenience from a different location. Now, that's not to say that I didn't miss people coming into the office 5 days a week when I was mayor and during COVID. It was a very lonely place at times when COVID was at its tops. But certainly, Jan and I, with our family, we would have appreciated a lot of flexibility of being able to work 4 days a week in the office, 1 day a week at home, or alternatively, between going to hockey or soccer tournaments and different things like that, where you could work out of a hotel room, perhaps. And I think that that's, if we change, if any organization changes to 5 days a week, they're constraining the people that they're going to attract to their business, and some of the top talent may go elsewhere. So I think for those who are necessary to be in the office or be at work 5 days a week, they probably are already. That happened way back in 2020, 2021. But I think that seeing people more in the office would certainly be helpful to local shops, local restaurants, for people to go out there. But there certainly has to be to strike a balance. I don't think that going back to 5 days a week is really in the cards for 100% of office workers. I just don't see that anymore.
I got to be honest with you. I'm still ticked off at COVID for what it taught us about remote work. If you had asked me when I started out in this ridiculous business in 1995, that if I would be able to do a show from a hotel room in another country with an internet connection, what's the internet, and a microphone, I would never have believed this possible. I'm kind of ticked because I'd rather be out enjoying the sights and sounds of Flint. Wait a minute. Who am I kidding? So
nice.
Yes, I would always rather be working. And I think the flexibility that you touch on, Dave, is really an important one. Caitlin, I'll swing it over to you. In the office 5 days a week, says the premier.
No. That's the thing. 5 days, we've seen so much. As long as the work is getting done, it's still meeting the levels and requirements it is. I can guarantee there's a lot of people getting way more work done at home. You're going to be a lot more rested depending on where your drive is. You're going to be saving money on gas. You're going to not be contributing to the high levels of traffic and congestion on the roads. You're going to be saving on childcare. We did learn a lot, and I don't think it's a bad thing that we learned in such a negative situation. There's always things to learn and grow. Work from home was prior to the pandemic anyways. That was a more forced situation. And like you said, with technology, video calls alone 15, 20 years ago were that was like Jetsons level future kind of stuff, right? That's what we kind of thought about. So the one thing that I really don't like about his wording was it's time to get back to work. And he almost is making it seem as if there's nothing being done, that people are just sitting at home. You need to get back in the office. It's time to get back to work. There is no getting back to work. They just want people in the office for whatever reason, whether it's just a visual to please the public saying everybody's here, hands on, go, 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 to show us that things are being done. We've already seen it. 5 days a week. No, absolutely not. No.
I think the flexibility, again, is really important in this. And you're right, Caitlin. It's not as though work is not getting done. I will say, I do have a buddy whose partner works in government, and he says her work from home can be jiggling the mouse a couple of times per hour to make it appear as though she's online. I don't know what that really means. It's kind of foreign language to me, but that distresses me a wee bit. But listen, do you have to be in the office to do the work? No. I think Dave's point, though, too, on the economic impact is well taken. We do have, small ma and pa shops that count on a business clientele in their restaurant. Maybe it's the dry cleaner, things like that. We're talking about a pretty seismic economic shift if we don't have full-time in the office. Can you offer Flexibility, absolutely, you should, but I find us to be in a really interesting time with all of this. Janice, what do you think? In the office 5 days a week, or?
I think it's all about the data and productivity. And the data has already shown that people don't need to be in the office 5 days a week to achieve the outcomes. And, Caitlin pointed it out well. Another flippant remark from our premier, he's definitely a bit rich to be saying that, just let out, for a 102-day winter break at the Ontario legislature. So Ford doesn't show up to work 5 days a week. And he's out there telling people. And one point from the unions is that the government hasn't been reviewing their demands for accommodations. They've just been leaving everything. Lots of members have filed within their contracts their rights to accommodations to work from home and not be in the office. And the Ford government just has been leaving everything sitting. And who knows what's going to happen January 1st when this is supposed to come into effect. The government does not have enough space for all these people. They have not reviewed any of the cases from the workers that are asking for accommodations. It's just going to be another Ford mess that, he makes a remark and it just causes this huge disruption in our government.
I think the timing is terrible on the part of the premier. As Janice and Dave both pointed out, 14 weeks, a 102-day Christmas or winter break for the legislature following the 19-week summer. So that's, by my math, we've got 33 weeks, which is more than half the year on break. And I know MPPs will work in their constituencies, et cetera. I also remember Premier Ford and his snowmobile up in cottage country last year, stopping to talk to people and maybe help people. But it's a little bit rich when you're saying that public servants need to get back 5 days a week when you're on a 14-week winter break from the legislature. We'll just leave it right there for now. Great points made by our panelists as we head into a break and then come back to talk about Australia, which is not the first, but the next to ban social media for children under the age of 16. Is this something that Canada should consider following suit on? We'll talk about it with our Friday 4 roundtable this morning on the Mike Farwell Show. 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. Well, guess what the theme was for All Request Friday this week? Surprise, surprise, surprise. That's Bruce Springsteen and Surprise, Surprise. By request from Dean on your All Request Friday. Surprise Songs Edition. Our Friday 4 roundtable, something we do from 11 until noon every Friday morning. With us today, Caitlin Kilgore, Janice Jim, and Dave Jaworski. Caitlin, I'll give you first crack on the last story of the 4 we're talking about today, and that is Australia's decision to ban social media for children under 16. They're not the first, but they're the latest, and we're wondering if Canada should follow the lead and ban social media platforms for kids under the age of 16. What do you think, Caitlin?
I completely agree with putting the safety nets up for children. I think 16 is too old. Once you hit that age within high school, like looking at the ones that they have banned, YouTube, absolutely not. YouTube, there is a lot of educational aspects, like even thinking back to when we were in high school and stuff like that. When Facebook first came out, it was for people to find your high school and college friends that you've moved away. Well, I don't really know. I haven't looked too deep into about how they're going to put this through. We would just put in on Facebook that we were born in like 1987 or like 1984, and boom, now we have a Facebook account and you're in grade 10, grade 11. So it was always fun growing up and seeing your friends' ages be like 57 years old. But how you're going to regulate this, I completely understand because even as adults, there is a lot of harmful information out of there. There's a lot of things for ourselves that we need to look out for. Thinking back to when I was in elementary school, don't meet people on the internet, don't go out and meet people in public. Well, we only meet people on the internet these days, really. That's how we make a lot of connections. And one of the points that was brought up even by the youth was there's a lot of kids in very rural areas that now in Australia, they're going on their summer break, and you have just completely taken away their connection to the outside world, to their friends, to any sort of things like entertainment and stuff. So I agree with banning it. I would probably put it at 12 and under. Once you get to that age, it's a bit more between the parent and the child. There are child versions and underage versions of all these different things that you can put in place. But a complete ban, I would say the age is way too high. And looking at how you're going to implement things, because again, just like with the drinking age, they're going to figure out a way around it anyways. So I agree and disagree at the same time with a couple things in place that probably would need to be altered and looked at.
I love the perspective from someone who's younger on this panel, Caitlin, because when you talk about those arbitrary years in the mid 1980s, some of us on this panel would have already been of age, even if it was banned for those youngins. But nonetheless, I think it's an interesting perspective. And I come from this place where, you know, you met friends by going out on Saturday morning, you'd knock on the door, right? That's how you called on your friends. There weren't chat groups. There weren't online forums to participate in. We magically found ways to entertain ourselves without phones and or computers, but it's just a whole different world. It's hard for an old guy
Whose
like me
front
to
yard
understand.
had all the bicycles on it. That's
Exactly.
where everybody was.
Yes.
Just for the bicycles.
Baseball bats and gloves, hockey sticks, you name it. Janice, what do you think? Should Canada follow Australia's, Denmark's, and other leads here in banning social media under 16?
I think it'll be very interesting to see what happens in the other countries and then maybe learn from their experience. But I agree with Caitlin about the age. 16 seems a little bit too high. Think about your life in high school. By the time you're 16, you're like basically a mini, adult. You're going out by yourself. You're going to like practices. You schedule your own life. So I think that might be a little high. So maybe like 12 or 14 would be a more appropriate age. But I think this is a good policy to start having companies, the tech companies, take responsibility for what they've unleashed. Because all these products were brought on, and they had no idea what the consequences would be, especially for younger people who are much more vulnerable. And there's been so many tragic cases of things that happened on social media. And now with chatbots on ChatGPT, younger people were basically coached and egged on to commit, self-harm, commit suicide. And these tech companies did not consider any of these cases before rolling out their products. So it'll be really interesting to see what happens in these countries. And I think we just need more education built into our curriculum to educate younger children on the technology and digital literacy, because there's so much fake content now, and people don't understand how to tell what's real and what's fake, and to protect them from harm.
I think your point on the role of big tech in this is very well taken, and Caitlin alluded to it when she said we could just put in a different birth year and all of a sudden we had a Facebook account, right? I still put in a fake birthday, by the way, just because, going back to one of our earlier conversations about privacy, I'm sorry, I'm not sharing that much information with you. So my birthday online is always Remembrance Day. Just so you know, sorry, Facebook. But I'm also a little more cynical than Janice. And I think that big tech did know, or at least had an idea and just didn't give a tinker's darn, in my opinion. But Dave, I'll throw it over to you.
Mike, when we started off the hour at 11, we heard a song by Max Webster, and I have like 6 Max Webster, Kim Mitchell albums downstairs. So I might not be the best to talk about the future of technology anymore. But back when I did work for RIM and I was speaking in the civics class in high schools, so that's 15 years ago now at least, I was recommending to the students to get on LinkedIn at grade 10, which is age 15 essentially, to start putting all their volunteerism and that, to start building their portfolio of knowledge for hiring or for summer jobs and that. And so there are instances, as Caitlin mentioned, YouTube, and Janice has gone through where this really doesn't make sense. But maybe we should be banning people 55 plus from some platforms like Truth Social and that. So there's lots of other opportunities to ban. We always look at banning as seeing that's the solution, when in fact I think Janice mentioned it, more education, putting more responsibility on the suppliers of these tools and that to make sure they have something that's good for people. And you think about cigarettes and how that's gone through the evolution of all the different things and different pictures on the cartons and that's still available. And I might not say that, I don't know if you can buy them at 18 plus now, but maybe when you're 18 or 61 or whatever, maybe you shouldn't be smoking cigarettes either. But there they are. So anyway, I do think that there's more responsibility required. I don't think a ban as written is productive. Somewhat productive, but not fully productive.
Interesting point on older adults as well, because to Janice's point on education, digital literacy, how can we have digitally literate older adults if we don't have digitally literate youth in all of it? So I think it's good on you, Dave. Dedicated pickleball player, avid cyclist. When I am retired from this, I worry about me because I'm just going to be sitting there on the computer arguing with people all day because I need my fix from doing this show, right? That's what's going to happen. So send help.
No, you don't want to do that. There's so much more to life to enjoy, like cycle Waterloo Region, right, Janice?
Exactly. Yeah. Teach me pickleball, Dave Jaworski. Teach me pickleball. Dave, of course, is the former mayor of Waterloo and now a dedicated pickleball player. Caitlin Kilgore, the co-owner of Dream Team Video Productions, and Janice Jim, the vice president at Cycle Waterloo Region. Appreciate you making time in your busy days for us today, except you, Jaworski. No pickleball, so what, right? You can come on the show for a little bit, but really appreciate it. And please enjoy the rest of the day and the weekend ahead. Thanks for being with us today.
Go Rangers.
Go Rangers. Dave Jaworski, Janice Jim, Caitlin Kilgore with us on the Friday Four Roundtable this morning. We'll get you an update from the 570 News Center and then open up the phone lines to hear directly from you with Free Phones Friday. You get to share your opinions as I'm here in Flint where the Rangers will play tonight. Stay with us. One more hour this week on the Mike Farwell Show, 570 News Radio and Rogers TV.
Bar down in Dallas, an old man chimed in, and I thought he was out of his head. Just being a young man, I just laughed it off when I heard what that old man had said. He said, I'll never again turn the young ladies' heads or go running off into the wind.
A little bit of George Burns for you. And I wish I was 18 again on this All Request Friday. Surprise Songs edition. Surprise, that one doesn't necessarily fit the theme, but we were just talking about social media and banning it for kids under the age of 16, so why not jump it up to 18? And anybody who is as far past the age of 18 as yours truly, you might wish you were 18 again. And really, when you're in the midst of a surprise show and didn't have the regular conversations with you throughout the week to let you know what the theme is and engage in the usual daily banter, we'll take what we can get on All Request Friday. If you want to hear one of your favorites, whether it fits the surprise theme or not, hey, we're here for you on the show. Just drop me an email, mike@570news.com, or call in and participate in the show and let Devin know when he answers the phone. This is the song that you'd like to hear on All Request Friday, Surprise Songs edition, or as we're into our final hour, whatever the heck else it happens to be. 519-570-2545, star 570, and 1-800-570-5715. Dave, by the way, wanted to hear I Wish I Was 18 Again by George Burns. We have entered Free Phones Friday, that open line hour on the show where you get the chance to share your thoughts with us. It's our final hour together of the week, so by all means, take full advantage. And there are a number of things that I think are pretty easy, some low-hanging fruit for us. How about the 14-week winter break for our provincial legislators? The same man, Ontario Premier Doug Ford, who says it's time for public servants to get back to the office 5 days per week, is saying, yeah, and we're going to take the next 14 weeks away from our place of work at Queen's Park. So there's that. We have another floor crossing, and I said this when Chris D'Entremont crossed the floor a month or so ago. What if the strategy for this current Liberal government and its leader, our Prime Minister, Mark Carney, is not so much to govern in a minority, but to convince and otherwise cajole members opposite to come across the floor. Come on over here. The water under the big red tent is just fine, and we're going to make it a bigger red tent, and all of a sudden we're going to have a majority. You know how it chafes my chaps. It chafes the ever-loving heck out of my chaps when somebody runs under the banner of one party and then once getting elected under that banner says, you know what, I'm going over here because I think the water's nicer or the grass is greener, or in this case, redder. It frustrates the heck out of me. There should be a by-election. It is that simple. I don't care what our rules allow for. I think we need to change those rules. I don't like that this is a thing at all. So we can certainly talk about that in this hour. And I'm reminded of something upcoming with this email from, I don't know, didn't put a name on it, Blazer, but I love it enough that I have to share to Mike at 570news.com. This was right at the beginning of the show today. The Leafs played last night. When the Leafs play, Austin Matthews usually scores a goal. And so the morning after the Leafs game the night before, we like to start with, or I like to start with, little AM on AM in the AM. AM for Austin Matthews on AM radio in the AM part of the day. And I make it clear that Austin Matthews is the best player in the world today. Blazer's email to Mike at 570news.com says, Mike, you need to stop saying that Austin Matthews is the best hockey player in the world. It makes you sound like you know very little about hockey. He may be top 10, but if you look at the stats, he's not even that. Please stop your ridiculousness. You sound silly. Blazer, that's the point. You see, it is a little bit for effect and exaggeration. I love me some Toronto Maple Leafs, though. And Austin Matthews is really one of the best players. But I just do it for some effect, you see. So clearly it's working. It is supposed to be a little silly because sometimes I'm a little silly. And we have AM on AM in the AM when Austin Matthews scores a goal the night before. What that reminds me of, though, is next Thursday, because it's just commentary like that from Blazer that you will have the opportunity to share with me next Thursday at this time, noon to 1, our Talkback Hour is going to be my year-end review as provided by you. You give the review. You give the criticism. It's a roast the host hour next Thursday, the 18th, right here on the show. So keep your commentary just like Blazer and bring it to the show next week. I'll tell you what, though, I'm not taking that one under advisement, boss. I'm going to keep going on about how great I think Austin Matthews is, because I do think he's great. And if it needles you a little bit as a fan of another team, even better. Again, it's the whole point, isn't it? All right, to the phones we go on Free Phones Friday. You've heard plenty from me. I want to hear from you now. And we'll start with Jersey Bill. Good afternoon, Billy. Start us off on Free Phones Friday.
Yes, hi there. I noticed that you were sort of promoting a few charity events, and it just turns out that I haven't been shy about being a member of the New Apostolic Church, and they have a concert choir, and tomorrow at 4 p.m. at the big church there on Margaret Avenue, 160 Margaret Avenue, just a few blocks north of Victoria, they're going to be doing a Christmas concert. Any donations that are taken up are going to be in support of the One Roof youth services. It's sort of I would like to see them not just do outreach, but do some self-promotion. Since they're not doing that, I'll do it for them. And it sort of struck me that I know that you had mentioned Michael Krause. I do remember him. He was the leader of the church for many years in the 20th century, as well as being the owner of Krause Carpet. And one thing you could say about him, if nothing else, is that he wasn't shy. So if he was still around, he probably would be promoting this. But since he's not, I'll do it for him.
All right. So that church, I don't think you still have the rotating sun rising out of the water with a cross on top of that church, do you?
No, that was also an innovation of the district apostle Michael Krause, that's been removed. But we have, I think we have another emblem on there. But yeah,
I loved it.
He was actually, that church that cathedral building wouldn't be there if it wasn't for him. He was a force of nature, to be sure.
It's a lovely church. I'll get back to what used to be on top in a moment, but I think you said the concert's happening tomorrow. I'm not sure you told us what time.
4 p.m. Tomorrow at that location, 160 Margaret Avenue.
Thank you, Billy. Great to hear from you today. Just a reminder that our faith communities, there are so many of these communities that come together. This particular concert at the Apostolic Church on Margaret Avenue, close to Wellington, tomorrow afternoon at 4 in support of One Roof. I was telling you at the beginning of the show today, there is a Love Your Neighbors community concert, 2 until 4:30 at Steinman Mennonite Church in Baden. That's happening on Sunday afternoon, again, 2 till 4:30. And then Sunday evening at All Saints Anglican on Northfield Drive. Another concert put on by Ian Graham and friends starting at 7 Sunday evening. And they're asking for donations to the food bank at that one. So One Roof gets the support at the church, the Apostolic Church on Margaret Avenue tomorrow at 4. The Love Your Neighbors communities at Steinman Mennonite in Baden on Sunday afternoon at 2. Sunday evening, All Saints Anglican, a 7 o'clock concert in support of the food bank. I remember that monument atop that church on Margaret Avenue. It had a sun rising out of the water and a cross that would rotate. And I remember it so well because in grade 9 English at St. Jerome's High School, I could gaze out the window in Mr. Curtin's class. I studied arts. I was an arts major right through post-secondary. Mr. Curtin was a little bit on the dry side. And sometimes I just drift off, stare out that window. And I can tell you that monument on top of the church on Margaret Avenue rotated 29 times per minute, at least by my count, in grade 9 English class at St. Jerome's High School, because I would gaze out the window and watch it and time it, because that occupied my mind when Mr. Curtin's lectures were not necessarily occupying my mind. I'm sorry for that, Mr. Curtin. I really came to appreciate your wit and dry sense of humor, but not every day when I was in grade 9. It took me a while, and that's how I passed my time. All right, Ranger Joe is with us on Free Phones Friday today. Ranger Joe, good afternoon.
Good morning, Mikey. How are you?
Great, buddy. How are you?
Good. And I'm sorry, it's not AM, it's actually PM. That's right. Hey,
that's
all
right.
Two things, Mike. 2 things I wanted to say. First of all, on members of the parliament crossing the floor like that shouldn't even be allowed. You know what? You figure they entered an election representing a certain party, and that's, and the voters that voted for them voted, let's face it, for that party. They shouldn't be allowed to do that. I don't understand that. And my second point is on the hockey thing. I like Austin Matthews, I really do, but I don't think he's the best player in the league. I think it's still Ovechkin and our buddy from Edmonton Oilers. Help me, the top guy.
Connor McDavid.
Right on. Those 2 are the guys that I would choose as the best all-around players. The physical, and they're scoring goals like nuts, and they're just great players. That's what I think, Mikey. Other than that, listen, have a safe time in Flint and have a great weekend, okay?
Thanks, buddy. Good to hear from you, Ranger Joe. Listen, I will say this. I think that Austin Matthews gets underappreciated for his 200-foot game, both ends of the ice, and how physical he is. He is very strong on the puck. So I might push back a wee bit. Again, I do it for a fact. I know not everybody's a Leafs fan, but I also know that as Leafs fans, we are over the top just by being fans, right? So I am doing it mostly for effect. But Alexander Ovechkin, please. I get zero time for that guy. Let me tell you. Connor McDavid, I love me some Connor McDavid, but anyway, that's what makes sports so much fun, right? We can take different sides and have great little arguments all in fun and then go watch the game together. Kind of like Free Phones Friday. We can share different opinions and still continue conversation. That's what Free Phones Friday is all about. Our phone lines are open to you, and we'll take more of those calls right after this quick timeout on the Mike Farwell Show. This is 570 News Radio and Rogers TV.
As I'm staring through this fire, it's too late to make you mine. So far from where we started, so far from what we wanted. And as both our worlds fall down, we have lost and we have found. So far from where we started, so far from what we wanted. I've made mistakes that I can't erase. I've made mistakes. If I had more money, honey, would you love me, love me, love me? If I wasn't just somebody like me.
Oh, a little bit of Canadian content and good old rock and roll as well. Straight out of Vancouver from State of Shock and Money Honey on this All Request Friday surprise songs edition. Find the song that fits the theme. Send in your request via email to mike@570news.com or just call in, talk to Dev. He's answering the phones way back on the other side of the border and the other side of the glass in Kitchener today. And let him know what song you would like to hear. All Request Friday Surprise Songs Edition. That one, State of Shock for Greg on the show this afternoon. It's surprise songs, our request theme, because this is kind of a surprise show today. When I was leaving the station on Monday, I didn't think that we would be having the opportunity for these conversations today, but here we are, and I am here for them. I would much rather be having these conversations with you than doing anything else, quite frankly. What am I going to do in Flint anyway? The game is tonight. I've got plenty to do at the Dort Financial Center. Josh Piercy and I will be on the air with Harris Law pregame show coverage at 6:30 tonight from the Dort Financial Center, Rangers and Firebirds. But until then, we have this time together, and we always spend the final hour of our show each week with Free Phones Friday, where you call in and share your opinions on the issues of the day. Let's get back to the phones, and Grant is with us on Free Phones Friday. Good afternoon, Grant.
Yeah, good afternoon. I thought the Rangers played a pretty good game on Wednesday, and I did not think that should have been a penalty against Jack Pridham because he was going after the puck. And Mr. Kirsch, I'm not too sure it was the third period, but he stopped a point-blank shot from the Sioux player. And I'd like to see him tidy up on his rebounds, because in the last several games, he's let some rebounds out, some very big ones. And if I was picking 3 stars, I think I would give him a $200 gift card to Charco Steakhouse, because he kept us very much in the game. And the players, they did not seem to panic. And I don't care if we didn't get the extra point. We got a point, and we got the effort there from the team. So, and I hope Luke Ellis is getting better, and I hope whoever's doing the selections for the juniors, that they don't kind of muck it up like they did last year, where they did where they barely played Carson Rakoff, and then there was this other player, I think his name was Neese. They never picked him. So I think they should let Kirsch get it. Put him on the team. I would. That's it.
All right, Grant, thank you very much. As usual with Grant, we're all over the map here. Let's start with that game on Wednesday night that the Rangers played. They did run into penalty trouble in the third period, taking 3. And I've accepted responsibility for this, by the way, because earlier in the third period, I had made note with Josh Piercy of the Rangers' discipline of late. Only 8 penalties taken. 8 times the Rangers were shorthanded in their previous 5 games. And they had not taken any penalties on Wednesday night until I opened my big fat mouth and said that on the air. And then they took 3 in the third period, 2 of them taken by Jack Pridham. And far be it from me to disagree, Grant, but I will. I know what you mean, reaching for the puck and then you trip a player. I call that an excuse me trip, but a trip is a trip. And whether you're reaching for the puck or not, it gets called. And so I think Jack Pridham did deserve the penalty, but whatever. The Rangers took 3 in the third. Sault Ste. Marie did score a power play goal to tie the game, and then they won it in overtime. It was a good effort by the Rangers. They need to clean up a few things. And if you missed UC Ahokus earlier today, remember, every Friday morning, Coach joins us on the show for the Coach's Show, Friday mornings at 10:30. And UC Ahokus gave a pretty blunt assessment of his team's performance on Wednesday. Didn't think they defended well enough. So we expect to see that change tonight as Kitchener is in Flint to take on the Firebirds. And that's why I'm doing the show from the remote studio in Flint. Now, on Christian Kirsch, I have nothing to complain about from his performance in goal for the Rangers on Wednesday. I thought he was terrific. I thought he was deserving of a star in the game, but somehow the stars all ended up being Sault Ste. Marie players. That shouldn't happen in a 1-goal game in overtime, but sometimes it's hard to get it right, and there are miscommunications, and trying to tell the people who are picking the stars who is supposed to get grabbed when they come off the ice doesn't really matter at the end of the day. I'm sure Christian Kirsch's teammates would gladly chip in to get him a nice, good steak dinner over at the Charcoal. They absolutely love that. Or maybe get him some wings from Moose Winooski's, who sponsors our power plays with Kitchener Rangers broadcasts. Whatever it is, Kirsch really backed up his team well on Wednesday night, played a terrific game in goal. Christian Kirsch is still with the Rangers tonight. He will likely get the start, I would think, against the Firebirds, and then he's off to play for Switzerland at the World Juniors. That's pretty much a foregone conclusion. We can't put Kirsch on Team Canada because he's Swiss, but we could put Cameron Reid on Team Canada. The Rangers captain and defenseman is not with Kitchener tonight because he has gone to Niagara Falls to try out for Team Canada. Team Canada still has to make a couple of cuts, and we certainly hope Cameron Reid is not one of them. If you were to ask me, if it was up to me, I would absolutely have Cameron Reid on my Team Canada. So I think that wraps up all of the things that Grant was just talking about. And we wrap up this half hour on Free Phones Friday. Get you an update from the 570 News Center, but a half hour still to go. Your thoughts on the issues of the day. Make the call and start the conversation. This is the Mike Farwell Show on 570 News Radio and Rogers TV.
Like Coca-Cola, C-O-L-A Cola. She walked up to me and she asked me to dance. I asked her her name and in a dark brown voice she said Lola, L-O-L-A Lola.
It is a classic from the Kinks on this All Request Friday Prize Songs edition. And our good friend M in Guelph is playing very well with the theme, because anybody that knows the lyrics to Lola, and I've never been great with lyrics, but this one is easy for me to follow along with and understand. And there is a surprise, if you will, at the end of that song as to who Lola really is. Fits very well with our theme on this All Request Friday Surprise Songs edition. You can drop me an email, mike@570news.com, or call Dev. Make the international call, but it's local for you. I'm in Flint. Dev is back at home. And let him know what song it is you would like to hear on All Request Friday, Surprise Songs Edition. We are into Free Phones Friday, where you call and share your thoughts on the issues of the day. 519-570-2545. Star 570 and 1-800-570-5715. want to go back to something from the beginning of the show today because you went and done something good, and I appreciate you for that. So I just want to remind you how much you are appreciated, and that is getting our 570 News Radio Tree of Hope 50/50 jackpot over and now well over $60,000. I had said that if the jackpot did reach $60,000, I would admit, I would join you, the chorus of you who have insisted for quite some time now that Die Hard is, in fact, a Christmas movie. I don't believe it to be, but I thought, you know what? If we can get this jackpot up to $60,000, because if we do that, we're helping Family and Children's Services Foundation of Waterloo Region, and that's what really matters here. So as soon as the calendar turned to December, all of the comments started again. I heard you. I get it. I thought, you know what? Fine. I'll be less stubborn for this holiday season and admit without reservation. So here you go. Yes, Santa Claus, Die Hard is a Christmas movie. Yes, Virginia, there is a Santa Claus. And yes, to you, Santa Claus, for helping out Family and Children's Services of Waterloo Region, Die Hard is a Christmas movie. I just checked in on that jackpot, now over $68,000. And I had also said, over the years of you ribbing me about this, I was sent a Die Hard advent calendar of sorts. It shows Hans Gruber falling from the top of Nakatomi Tower. And if the jackpot gets to $70,000, we will count down Hans Gruber's fall together on the show. Every day we'll move him down one more notch. I don't have the calendar with me, but it's in the studio back home. And if the jackpot's at 68,000 right now, I suspect it could get to 70,000 by the time the weekend is over. So maybe on Monday, we'll start doing the daily countdown of Hans Gruber falling from the top of Nakatomi Tower. I guess we'll see. You can help out Family and Children's Services Foundation of Waterloo Region by going online and getting one of your 570 News Radio Tree of Hope 50/50 raffle tickets. It's easy to do. Just go to facs5050.com. facs5050.com. 5 numbers for $10. That's the starting point. You can spend a little bit more. The jackpot is huge at $68,000 and climbing, which is great support for Family and Children's Services Foundation of Waterloo Region. So thank you for the help so far. Please continue. facs5050.com. And congratulations to Susan Morgan, who this morning was awarded $2,500 in cold, hard Christmas cash from our friends at Hefner Lexus Toyota. They put up the $2,500. Susan won it when her name was drawn, number was drawn this morning. Congratulations to Susan. And her number stays in for that big jackpot, now $68,000 and climbing. Again, get your tickets at facs5050.com. Couple of emails connected to one of the main talking points today, which is, again, another floor crossing from a conservative to a liberal. And now the liberals are one seat away, one member away from a majority government. Do you think that Prime Minister Carney could attract somebody from the NDP, which don't even have official party status right now? I don't think it's even remotely a stretch to think that that could happen. And Nick sends an email to Mike at 570news.com and says, are you not bothered that the Conservative Party under Pierre Poilievre have created a situation that elected officials feel it necessary to flee? I don't really know that that's the case, Nicholas, because they ran for that same leader and that same party 7 months ago. So how can you, what has changed? What has changed in the last 7 to 8 months that would make the party unacceptable to somebody that ran for it that short a time ago? I have a difficult time with that. And it's not just this time around, right? This sort of thing has happened before. Liberals crossing to conservative, conservative crossing to liberal, green crossing to liberal. I don't care. I don't have any skin in the game about which party benefits most from the floor crossing. I am just bothered that by what I find to be undemocratic behavior. That's my perspective on it. Meantime, Mark sends an email to Mike at 570news.com. I just caught your latest pet peeve. I'm sorry, I just can't say chap chafing. It is chafing my chaps, though, about MPs crossing party lines. I think it's absolutely brilliant. It's the solution to all elections. No longer vote for a person, but for a party. Just imagine a ballot that only has the list of government parties instead of anyone's names. That would make an election so much simpler. I mean, right now, we vote for the person that we really want to represent us, correct? We trust our vote to one person, not to a party. So I'm sure that I'm not sure your pet peeve has legs to stand on, Mike. If the person we vote for believes that the best way to represent us is to join the majority party, shouldn't we celebrate that? I personally want my representative to move to any place that helps represent us better. What's the other alternative? Our voted representatives sitting as a spectator in the back benches doing nothing important? By the way, if the Mike Farwell show switched to a different radio station, I personally wouldn't be listening to 570 anymore. But what would you listen to the Mike Farwell show? Would you follow me over there? See, here's where that breaks down for me, Mark. And I appreciate the support for the show, by the way. Let me just say that first and foremost. Where that breaks down for me is I love the idea. It's such an ideal, really, that when we vote for the person. But sadly, that's not the case in the party system. Provincially, federally, we end up voting for the leader and or the party, right? When we say that we voted for Doug Ford in the last provincial election, that's what we mean. We didn't necessarily vote for the person in our riding that got that extra seat for the Conservative Party. We just voted for the party. Municipally, absolutely, we vote for the individual. I always vote for the individual, but I think those of us that do that are the exception, not the rule when it comes to party politics. So unfortunately, we do vote for the party. And the folks of Markham, whatever it was, Unionville, that Michael Ma used to represent, they voted for a Conservative member. It was highly unlikely they voted specifically for Michael Ma. And now the Conservative they voted for has become a Liberal. The simple solution to this, and one of our callers earlier said we should just ban the practice, which I would be okay with. I don't understand how this is democratic in any way, frankly. But the simple solution to this is if you want to cross the floor, go and run in a by-election and ask those same voters who put you in as a Conservative if they'll put you back in as a Liberal. Simple as that. If they do believe in you enough, great. At least the voters had the say. But the voters, in this case, had the say for you as a Conservative, and now you said, you know what, I'm a Liberal instead. I don't think that's cool, but that's just my take on it. Your takes are always welcome during Free Phones Friday. That's what we do Fridays from noon until 1 as we close out our time together for the week here on the Mike Farwell Show. 570 News Radio and Rogers TV.
The heart is a balloon, shoots up through the stony ground. There's no room, no space to rent in this town. You're out of luck.
That is U2 and a Beautiful Day by request from Annette on this All Request Friday Surprise Songs edition. I don't think Beautiful Day falls into that theme, but hey, when you're on the road and the show itself was a surprise, that's why we call it the Surprise Songs edition of All Request Friday. Got as many requests as we could in when I wasn't able to talk to you every day this week. When I left the station on Monday, I didn't expect to be on the show with you on Wednesday and Friday, but here we are. We did the best we could, and we just take your requests anyway. So thank you for that, Annette. It's funny, I was emailing with Dave, who requested earlier, I Wish I Was 18 Again by George Burns. And Dave said, thanks for playing the song. I've been wishing I was 18 again when it comes to shoveling all this snow, and it makes me feel bad again. You know, it's a pretty nice day here in Flint, and there is nowhere near as much snow here as there is back home. And we left on Tuesday to start our trip going up to the Sioux when you were getting walloped by that latest dumping. And the Sioux had a lot of snow, probably more snow than we have back home. but it was a nice day on Wednesday up in the Sioux, sunny, and for the Sioux, pretty warm, like -5. So I feel like I've been escaping all of the bad weather by somehow going north of the region and getting away from it. But I'll enjoy it for now. My poor beloved has managed, thanks to our friends with snowblowers, to get rid of most of what has fallen this week. Free Phones Friday continues, where we take your calls and get your thoughts on the issues of the day. Let's go back to the phones for Dan. Dan, good afternoon. Free Phones Friday, over to you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Farwell. How are you, sir?
Mr. Hutter, I'm great, sir. How are you?
Another day in paradise, brother. What do they say? Living the dream, but waking up screaming. Listen, as far as crossing the floor, I find it disingenuous. And again, I'm far from being conservative, but I would think that if any member of parliament crosses the floor and says, I'm not going to, be with you anymore, then you should have to reimburse your party with all the money that they spent to get you nominated and to support your campaign. I mean, it's very much like a friend asking you to lend them some money, and then they decided they ghost you after they get the cash.
I think that's another great example, right? Because these, especially at the party level, are not insignificant investments in people to run for the party and hopefully win a seat.
No, and the other part is, if I spoke to all of my constituents and said, I'm running as a conservative, as a liberal NDP, and this is what I believe in, and then 7 months later I decide, I'm just tossing it all out the window, why would I trust this person, even if they join the Liberal Party, why would I trust this person to really be a good member? They've already proven they can't be trusted.
It's a great point all around. Couldn't agree more. Dan, thanks for weighing in today. I appreciate it.
All right, brother. Good luck getting over the border.
Thanks very much. Appreciate that as well. Dan was one of my high school teachers, and no disrespect to the rest, but the best. I loved his history classes back at St. Jerome's in the day. And I couldn't agree more with where Dan is coming from. Gave me, just like he did when I was in high school taking his classes, more food for thought. I was ticked about this from the get-go. There are another couple of reasons right there. You got to reimburse the party for the investment they made in you. It is a financial investment to mount a campaign, to put a person to stand for your party, et cetera. And then, are you just not showing that you cannot be trusted if you're going to turn coat that quickly once you are elected to office? Another couple of great points that just, it's a real frustration for me in this democracy that we allow this behavior. And frankly, it gets rewarded. Oh, come on over here to this party where we're going to welcome you with open arms. And I'm telling you, one more member to cross the floor, and the Liberals have got themselves a majority without coming back to us, the voters, who voted them a minority 7-8 months ago. On that point, I should have mentioned this earlier today when Dan said, good luck crossing the border. Can I just tell you the experience of going across from Sault Ste. Marie into Michigan yesterday? So we played in the Sioux Wednesday night, stayed over, left Thursday morning. And I had one of the nicest border guards ever. Usually they are pretty good when we're coming through as a team. I've never had an issue. But this guy, it was friendly. We had some banter back and forth. And this would be the American border agent checking my ID and credentials to come into the United States. It was as pleasant a crossing as I've ever had. So in case you were curious about that, that's how it went yesterday. The next border crossing will be tomorrow night after we play in Saginaw, coming back into Canada. I can't imagine it'll be a hassle. Let's go to Jody next here on Free Phones Friday. Jody is with us. Good afternoon, Jody.
Good afternoon, Mike. How are you today so far?
I'm doing very well, thank you so far. How are you doing?
I'm okay. I just want to say that I'm so glad that there's still some kind people left in the world today, and that are helping the less fortunate, especially. I'm a less fortunate person myself, but I wouldn't be alive right now if it weren't for kindness from my family and strangers. Kindness from strangers. Hey. Thank you.
Thanks, Jody. Good to hear from you today, and I appreciate that sentiment. There was a good article in the Waterloo Region Record today, front page story, written by Louisa D'Amato, who is excellent. I love her work. And she shared the story of being on a walk through downtown Kitchener with none other than John Neufeld, the former executive director at the House of Friendship. He's now with the Hallman Foundation. But what a good person to have at your side when you encounter somebody on a street corner in downtown Kitchener who was in obvious distress. And Louisa shared the story of the passersby, the strangers, who extended a helping hand to this man who was clearly in distress in downtown Kitchener. Look, I say it all the time, and it can be forgotten on a show like this. If you listen to a show like this, we do get animated about things, don't we? And we should. I want to be clear about that. There is absolutely nothing wrong with some complaining, some kvetching, to basically say, I think this can be better. I want to make this thing better. There is zero wrong with that. And you can be frustrated with decisions that get made on your behalf from a government, from some organization. You absolutely can be. We can demand transparency. We can demand better. We should. And we should have no reservations about doing that, and we shouldn't feel any regret or remorse for doing that. But the reality is also, I always say it's the 80-20 rule, and probably even 85-15. 80 to 85% of the people you encounter every day are lovely people just like you. Yeah, 10 to 15% are jerks. A jackwagon is always going to be a jackwagon, right? But most people are very good people. And we gather around a show like this to have conversations about what we want to see better. And that's okay. I will always defend our ability and right to do this. Let's get to Afif before we're done with Free Phones Friday today. Afif, good afternoon.
Hey, good afternoon, Mike. Just wanted to say, I'm glad you had a nice time at the border, but every time I go there, this is my first name, Muhammad, they search me all the time, every time. And especially, like, flights, on my ticket, they're like quadruple S, as in, like, I'm a major security issue. I don't know why.
Yeah, you know what, Afif, I appreciate that call. Thank you for that. A good reminder to me, and I have to remind myself or check myself or be reminded by you, like Afif just did, that I guess I am certainly speaking from a position of some degree of privilege, aren't I? It's a pretty bland name, Farwell and Mike, and you're traveling through with a group of similar folk on a hockey trip, and so there's not a whole lot that will, I think, get you on the wrong side of things. There was a very thorough, maybe more than usual, search of the bus this time around, but we got nothing to hide except some smelly hockey equipment. And on that note, I got to call it a day. I'm going to move aside and let you get some updates from the 570 News Center and then hear from Rob Snow and Now You Know. And Josh Piercy and I will be back tonight, just about 6 hours from now, with your Harris Law pregame show, Rangers and Firebirds from the Dort. I hope you'll join us then. My name is Mike Farwell. Enjoy the weekend ahead. You are a force for good, and bye for now.